I couldn't reach my daughter for 5 days. When I went to her house, I heard scratching under the beady. My phone buzzed against the kitchen counter. I looked at the screen. My daughter, the photo from 3 years ago, smiled up at me. I pressed the green button. Hey, Mom. Sorry I missed your call. Her voice was tired, distant. I leaned against the sink. The faucet was dripping. I kept meaning to fix it. Everything okay, sweetheart? Yeah. Yeah, just busy. A pause. I actually can't talk long. I have a meeting. A meeting. At 7 in the evening. She taught second grade. What kind of meeting did a second grade teacher have at night? Okay, I said. I just wanted to check in. I haven't heard from you in a few days. I know. It's been crazy. I'll call you this weekend, I promise. And she hung up. I stood there, holding the phone to my ear for a few extra seconds. The dial tone hummed. I set the phone down. That was the last time I heard her voice. The next day, I called her on my lunch break. No answer. I left a message. Hey, honey. Just calling to say hi. Give me a call when you get a chance. Love you. She didn't call back. The day after that, I called again. Straight to voicemail. I texted her. Just a simple one. You okay? Getting worried. No reply. I told myself not to panic. She was an adult. She had a life. A job. Friends. Maybe she'd gone to a conference. Maybe she was out of town. She was probably fine. I was just being an overbearing mother. That's what Frank used to tell me. She's fine, Diane. You worry too much. That's how you're going to get an ulcer. But Frank wasn't here anymore. Day 3. I called the school. A woman answered. The office manager. I could hear the clatter of keyboards in the background. The hum of fluorescent lights. South Euclid Elementary. Hi, yes. This is Diane Walters. I'm Kelsey Walters' mother. I haven't been able to reach her for a few days. I was wondering if she's been at school. There was a pause. I could hear the woman typing something. Let me check. Another pause. It looks like Kelsey hasn't been in since Monday. She took a personal day, then a sick day on Wednesday. She didn't call in today. I gripped the phone tighter. My knuckles were white. Did she say anything? Did she sound sick? Not that I know of. She just called in. I can leave a note for her to call you when she comes back. Thank you, I said. Thank you. I hung up. I stood in the middle of my living room. The house was silent. The air felt thick. Heavy. Day 4. I called the school again. The same woman answered. I asked the same question. She didn't come in today? She didn't call either. We're a little worried too. I felt a knot in my stomach. The kind of knot that makes it hard to breathe. Can you give me the principal's number? I got it. I called. He said he would go to her house after school. Check on her. I thanked him. I waited. He called me back an hour later. I knocked on her door. No answer. Her car's in the driveway, but the lights are off. I called her phone. It went straight to voicemail. I thanked him again. I hung up. I sat down on the couch. Frank's chair was in the corner. Empty. I stared at it. I could almost see him sitting there, reading his newspaper, looking up at me with those patient gray eyes. She's fine, I could hear him say. She's an adult. She's just busy. But she wasn't busy. She was missing. Day 5. The 5th day. I woke up at 5 in the morning. I hadn't slept. I'd been staring at the ceiling all night, counting the cracks, thinking about all the things that could go wrong, all the terrible possibilities. I made coffee. I didn't drink it. I sat at the table and watched it get cold. I called the police. A woman answered. She sounded young, overworked. The same woman from before. Ma'am, we looked into it. There's no sign of foul play. No credit card activity. No calls to anyone besides you. She might have just needed some time away. People do that. People don't just vanish, I said. She's not the type. Ma'am, I understand you're worried. But we can't send a unit out just because someone hasn't called their mom in 5 days. It's not a crime to lose your phone. It's not a crime to need space. I hung up. I grabbed my keys, my handbag, my phone. I walked out the front door. The air was cold. It was going to rain. The sky was gray and heavy and low. I got in the car. The Honda. Frank's Honda. I turned the key. The engine sputtered for a second. Then it started. I pulled out of the driveway. The drive to South Euclid usually took 20 minutes. I made it in 12. I ran a red light. I didn't even see it. My mind was somewhere else. On my daughter. On all the things that could have happened to her. I turned onto her street. The trees were old. Big. The branches overhung the road like arms. The houses were small. Rented. Some had mailboxes that were rusted. Others had porches with peeling paint. Kelsey's house was near the end of the street. It was a little blue house with white trim. The paint was chipping. The front step was cracked. Her car was in the driveway. White sedan. Clean. A little ding on the front bumper. I parked behind it and got out that the air smelled like burning leaves. Someone down the street was raking. I could hear the scrape of the rake against the pavement. A dog barked somewhere. A normal sound. An everyday sound. But nothing felt normal. I walked up to her front door. The welcome mat was crooked. I straightened it with my foot. I knocked. No answer. I knocked harder. I called her name. Kelsey, it's Mom. Open up. Nothing. I tried the doorknob. Locked. I walked to the side of the house. The windows were dark. The curtains drawn. I peered through a crack in the blinds. The living room. The TV was off. A coffee mug on the table. A blanket on the couch. It looked like she'd been there recently. Like she'd gotten up and left something behind. I went to the back. A chain-link fence. The gate was shut. I climbed over. My knees ached. I landed hard on the other side. I brushed the dirt off my hands. The back door was a sliding glass door. I pulled it. It slid open. Unlocked. I stepped inside. The kitchen was a mess. Dishes in the sink. Takeout containers on the counter. A pizza box on the floor. Half-eaten. I could see the flies buzzing around it. I felt a chill. Kelsey, my voice echoed through the house. Empty. I walked into the living room. The blanket on the couch was crumpled. The coffee mug was half full. There was a book on the table. Dog-eared. A romance novel. She liked those. They made her feel less alone, she said. She read them when she couldn't sleep. I walked down the hallway. The floor creaked. The walls were bare. No photos. No paintings. Just blank white walls. I reached the bedroom door. It was closed. The handle was cold. I put my hand on it. Then I heard it. Scratching. A scraping sound. Like nails dragging across wood. Coming from inside the room. I froze. My heart stopped for a second. Then it started pounding. Hard. Fast. I could hear it in my ears. I could feel it in my throat. Kelsey, the scratching stopped. I pushed the door open. The room was dark. The blinds were drawn. The bed was unmade. Clothes on the floor. A lamp knocked over. A pair of shoes near the closet. The scratching started again. Under the bed. I dropped to my knees. I lifted the bed skirt. I looked underneath. The darkness was thick. I couldn't see anything at first. But I could hear. I could hear it clearly. A ragged breath. A whimper. A soft, desperate noise. Mom, it was her. Her voice was small. Thin. It didn't sound like Kelsey. It sounded like a little girl. A scared little girl. I reached under the bed. I found her hand. It was cold. Clammy. She flinched at my touch. Kelsey. I said. It's Mom. Come out. Come out from there. No, she said. Her voice was shaking. I can't. I can't. Why not? What's wrong? She didn't answer. She just held my hand. Tight. So tight it hurt. Kelsey, look at me. Look at me. She slowly pulled herself forward. She came out from under the bed. Her face was pale. Her eyes were sunken. She had dark circles under her eyes. Deep ones. She hadn't slept. Maybe not for days. Her hair was a mess. Tangled. Greasy. She was wearing jeans and a gray sweater. The same clothes she'd been wearing in the photo she sent me. 5 days ago. She looked at me. There was something in her eyes. Something I'd never seen before. Fear. Not just fear. Pure terror. I'm sorry, she said. I'm so sorry. Sorry for what, Kelsey? What happened? She looked toward the door. Her body tensed. She grabbed my arm. Close the door, she said. Close the door right now. I reached up and pulled the bedroom door shut. The latch clicked. There's someone in the house, she whispered. He's been here for 3 days. I felt my blood turn to ice. Who? She didn't answer. She just stared at the door, listening. Then I heard it. Footsteps. From somewhere inside the house. Heavy. Deliberate. A floorboard creaked. Then another. Someone was walking. Suddenly the house has city free. Chinese translation. It is new. It is new. Something to think the Linji Danchan. A chung two fang chung kan de chang follow father. Think country soja. Third part chung big danger. Togen in fang. Don't pan. Singing. Super hot. To put out 最超这个方面。To put out 它这里直接对面这个方面。这个都拍到了。已经查了所有的各种就问了分多问题。这都就啥？这搞什么现在这应该讲。并不安全，一点不安全。你想这个这个对，它这个那个接触外水，它先跑，它叫就砸，它可擦身里就压到，后备身里有深度。他一百班上接着可是照片，有照片，他身里天个砸，不知道他现在，但他有照片，对方说的这个重，这封信可危险真被接受，这说这个人对你点点，这说他们不必太担心了，这个就操作牵着跟接受，他还的朋友，这是真的，这个都没得看，看了，The one，这样要走，不好，他说，他发。我不知道我还能不能好了。 他是怎么一个晚上都不走，就坐在他家对面的车里，看着他房间的灯。我看着窗外，邻居们站在自家门前的人行道上，他们都看着我们，他们交头接耳，指指点点。那一刻，我恨他们。他们一直住在旁边，他们看到什么了吗？他们听到什么了吗？他们有没有帮助过我女儿？我永远不会知道答案了。警官走了过来，他隔着车窗对我说话：你女儿可以跟她朋友待在一起吗？或者跟你也行。我们建议她今晚不要独自待着，我们可以安排人送你们回家。我们开车来的，我说，我们会开的。警官点了点头，他蹲下来，跟凯尔西平视。你做得很好，他说，你一直躲在床下，这么做很对，你很聪明，你活下来了，你明白吗？凯尔西点了点头，但他的脸还是呆滞的，他还不在那里，他还在躲避，还在害怕。还有一件事，警官说，我们需要你帮我们找到他藏在你家里的所有东西。照片、笔记、衣服，任何他留下来的东西，这能帮助我们定他的罪。凯尔西又点了点头，好，他说，我会帮你们的。我们下了警车，邻居们都看着我们。我直视前方，我抓住凯尔西的手，我们走回他的房子。房子的前门还开着，警察用胶带围起了门口，他们把门廊划为政务区。凯尔西站在门廊上，他看着那扇敞开的门，他没有迈步。我进不去，他说，我做不到。我跟你一起，我说，你不用一个人进去。他握紧了我的手，我们走进去，房子变了样，灯光亮了，所有的灯都开着，警察们在屋子里走来走去，他们在检查每一个房间，他们在拍照。凯尔西领我们去他的卧室，床还在那儿，床单被扯了下来，床头板上有血，小小的血迹，我不知道是他的还是他的。这是我的房间，他说，他从窗子进来的，第一次是在半夜。我醒来时看到他就站在那里，正看着我。我咬着嘴唇，他说什么了吗？他什么也没说，他就那么站在那儿，然后走了。第二天早上，我的手机收到了他发的短信。他说，我还会回来的，你睡着的样子真美。马克从走廊里走了过来。凯尔西，我需要你找找有没有笔记本或电脑，任何可能有他写的记录的东西。壁橱里有个鞋盒，他说，他把东西放进去了，我不知道什么时候放的。我在那儿发现了照片，一张地图，还有一串钥匙。马克走过去了，我跟在后面。凯尔西打开壁橱门，他拉出一个旧鞋盒。马克拿起盒子，小心地打开了它，里面有照片，程迪的照片，凯尔西从超市出来的照片，他在学校停车的照片，他从家里倒垃圾的照片，他卧室窗户的照片，我的照片，我坐在自己客厅里的照片，我在车里的照片，我手握方向盘的，我在加油站加油的，我的膝盖发软。他一直也在看我，我低声说，他一直在监视我们俩。马克翻阅着照片，他面无表情。这些东西能让他在监狱里待很久。他说，照片上的日期和时间清楚可见，一旦拿去法庭，这就是确凿的证据。我们又在房子里待了1个多小时。凯尔西告诉我他什么时候开始害怕的，什么时候第一次觉得自己被跟踪了，什么时候他换了电话和锁，什么时候他第一次撬了进来，又是何时他躲进了床底下再也没出来。他是星期五来的。他说，那个星期五下午，我听到前门开了，我知道是他，我知道他撬了锁，我就躲进了床底下，把手机关成了静音。我听到他上楼来，我听到他在我房间里走动，我听到他打开壁橱门，他等到第二天早上才离开。 你就在那底下躺了一整夜。我问。是的，他说着。早上的时候，我听到门砰的关上了，我以为他走了，我就出来了。我拿了点吃的，我上了洗手间，我的手机没信号，他不知道用了什么办法屏蔽了信号。然后我听到了引擎声，他又回来了，我又躲到了床底下，我就在下面一直躲着。我真的听到他去买了吃的，他还看了电视。他在我的沙发上睡了一觉，我听到他打鼾的声音。我验了一下，这5天里他每天都来吗？每天都在。他说，有时一天来2次。他带着吃的东西。他坐在沙发上看我的电视。他在屋里走来走去。为什么他不伤害你？我问。他来找你，为什么不把你从床底下拖出来？我想他在等。他想让我自己做点什么，跟他正面冲突，自投罗网。他想让我爬出来，求饶。他喜欢那种吓唬我的感觉。马克拿出一本便签本，他正在记笔记。我们会把所有的东西都作为证据收集起来。你别碰任何东西，凯尔西。如果你看到他碰过什么，就告诉我们。我们走完了整栋房子。每一间房间，每一样东西，照片、笔记，一根头发，他把他的气味留在了每一个角落。他想让他知道，他无处可逃，每一寸空间都属于他。1个小时后，我们终于回到了车上。我发动了引擎，凯尔西坐在副驾驶座上，他抱着自己的手臂，蜷成一团。他很安静。我开出了车道，我们离开了那条街。我朝我住的方向开去。你想去我那儿住吗？我问。就住一阵子，直到你感觉好些了。他没回答，他只是看着窗外。我看进后视镜，一辆车在我们身后，深色的车，跟得挺近。凯尔西，我说，你认得那辆车吗？他转过头，他看了看后视镜，他的脸一下白了。不，他说，不可能，不可能。什么不可能？那辆车，那是特洛伊的朋友的车，我见过他停在他家附近。我的胃缩了一下，我把脚踩在油门上。他朋友是那个网上同伙吗？我不知道，他说，我只见过那辆车好几次。我把车拐上了一条辅路，那辆车也跟着拐了。我又拐了一次，他也跟过来了。他在跟踪我们。我说，凯尔西，拿我的电话，拨911。他手抖着抓起我的电话，他开始拨号。这时他的电话响了，来电显示是一个陌生号码。别接，我说，别接。但他接了，他把手机举到耳边，他的脸越发惨白了。你怎么会有这个号码？他对着话筒说。他听着，他松开手，手机从指尖滑落，掉到了地垫上。他说他在跟着我们。他说我们跑不掉的。他说他会一直跟着，直到我们都停下来。我猛踩油门，引擎低吼起来，车速提上去了。那辆深色的车紧跟在后，他甚至没遮住车牌。我是不会停的，我说，我要开到警察局去。我把方向盘向右一打，我拐上了主路，车速提到60。我清楚地记得警察局就在8个街区外。我瞥了一眼后视镜，那辆深色的车还在，他在加速，然后他的车骤然放慢了速度，他打了右转灯，他拐进了一条侧街，他消失了。我把车开进了警察局停车场，我停好车，我熄了火，我握住凯尔西的手，他浑身都在哆嗦。他走了，我说，他跑了。他会回来的，他说，他总会回来的。他们从不放弃。他的眼里噙着泪，他的脸毫无血色。他25岁，他应该正在教室上课，想想放学后去吃什么，而不应该在这个停车场发抖，提防着那些随时出现的车。我会保护你的，我说，我以我的生命发誓，我会保护你的。你们还好吗？ 他问，我没回答，我开口说，我们要报警。凯尔西抬头看我，他的目光里有一道微光，那道光还很脆弱，很纤薄，就像一根快要燃尽的蜡烛。但他用力握我的手。妈，他说，我相信你。他把手攥得更紧了。我知道，我告诉他，来吧，我们一起走进去。The police station smelled like burnt coffee and floor wax. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. A fan in the corner hummed, pushing stale air around the room. I sat in a plastic chair with Kelsey next to me, gripping her hand like she might float away if I let go. A detective came out. He was a large man, maybe 50, with a thick gray mustache and tired eyes. He introduced himself as Detective Miller. He had a coffee stain on his tie. Ma'am, can you tell me what happened? I told him everything. The 5 days of silence. The scratching under the bed. The photographs. The car that followed us to the police station. He wrote it all down. His handwriting was small. Neat. He didn't look surprised. Your daughter's ex-boyfriend, Troy? You said he's been arrested? Yes, I said. But the car that followed us wasn't his. It was someone else's. Someone working with him. The detective leaned back in his chair. He rubbed his eyes. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in a long time. We have Troy in holding right now. He's not talking. He's got a lawyer. The lawyer says he's not cooperating. But we found his phone. We found messages to other people. He's part of a network. A network, I repeated. I felt sick. Yes, ma'am. A group of men who share information. They find women through social media. They follow them. They share addresses, schedules, photographs. It's organized. It's systematic. It's a whole ecosystem of harassment. Kelsey was silent beside me. She was staring at the floor. Her shoulders were hunched. The detective looked at her. He softened his voice. Miss Walters, we're going to do everything we can to keep you safe. But I need you to understand something. When these cases go to trial, the men don't just disappear. They have friends. They have associates. They operate in groups. You'll need to be careful for a long time. She nodded. She didn't look up. Can we go home now? I asked. I'd recommend you stay somewhere else. Not her apartment. Not your house. Not any place they know about. We don't have anywhere else to go, I said. The detective looked at me. Do you have family? Another relative? My brother lives in Columbus. But I haven't talked to him in years. That might be a good option. Or we can help you get into a temporary shelter. But I'll be honest with you. Those shelters are full. It's a citywide problem. I felt the walls closing in. We had nowhere to go. Nowhere safe. Kelsey finally spoke. Her voice was quiet. Hello. What about Mark, the private investigator? He offered to help me stay somewhere. The detective looked at her. Mark Harrison. Yeah, he's a legit PI. He's testified in cases like this before. You trust him? He's been helping me, she said. I trust him. The detective nodded. All right. I'll give him a call. See if he can get you set up with a safe place. He walked away. I turned to Kelsey. You trust this man, this Mark? She looked at me. Her eyes were red, puffy, but there was something steady in them. Something I hadn't seen in days. Mom, Mark is the only person who believed me from the start. He didn't tell me I was overreacting. He didn't say I was paranoid. He showed up. He listened. He's been tracking Troy for weeks. Weeks. You hired him weeks ago. I hired him 3 weeks before I went into hiding. I knew Troy was dangerous. I just didn't know how dangerous. I held her hand tighter. Why didn't you tell me? She looked down. I didn't want you to worry. You were still dealing with Dad. You were still grieving. I thought I could handle it on my own. A lump formed in my throat. You don't have to handle things on your own. You're my daughter. I'm supposed to be there for you. She squeezed my hand back. I know that now. Detective Miller came back. He had his phone in his hand. Mark's on his way. He says he's got a place. Some kind of safe house. He'll explain when he gets here. I nodded. I felt a small sliver of relief. Just a sliver. But it was better than nothing. Mark arrived 10 minutes later. He walked in wearing the same flannel shirt from earlier. His face was tired. His jaw was tight. But when he saw Kelsey, his expression softened. Hey, he said. You okay? She shook her head. No, not really. He pulled up a chair next to her. He sat down. He didn't crowd her. He just sat. I got a place for you, he said. It's a motel on the outskirts of town. Nothing fancy, but it's clean. I'll stay in the room next to you. I'll watch the parking lot. No one's getting near you. You do that? I asked. He looked at me. That's what she's paying me for. But honestly, I'd do it anyway. I've seen too many women end up hurt because no one stepped in. I'm not letting that happen to her. I blinked back tears. Thank you. Thank you. We left the police station. I followed Mark's car in my Honda. Kelsey was in the passenger seat beside me. She was quiet, but she'd stopped shaking. She was watching the trees pass by. The sky was dark now, full of clouds. The streetlights cast long yellow pools onto the pavement. Are you hungry? I asked. No. Thirsty, she hesitated. Then she nodded. I pulled into a gas station. I bought 2 bottles of water and a bag of pretzels. I handed her the water. She drank half of it in one go. She hadn't had water in hours. Maybe longer. The motel was on a 2-lane road. Green sign with neon letters. The vacancy sign was flickering. It was a motel from the 1960s. The kind with doors that opened directly to the parking lot. Each room had a window with curtains that had seen better days. But the parking lot was clean. Mark's car was parked in front of room 12. I parked next to him. He got out and walked to Kelsey's door. He opened it for her. Room 12 is yours, he said. I'll be in 11. There's a lock on the door. It's solid. I checked it myself. Kelsey got out of the car. She looked at the motel. She looked at Mark. Then she did something I hadn't seen her do in days. She smiled. Just a small smile. But it was there. Thank you. She said. Don't thank me yet, he said. Thank me when we get through this. I got the bags out of the car. A small duffel with a few clothes I'd grabbed before we left. A toothbrush. Some aspirin. My phone charger. I carried them into the room. The room was basic. A bed with a floral bedspread. A wooden nightstand. A lamp. A television mounted on the wall. A small bathroom with a shower. It wasn't home, but it was safe. I sat on the edge of the bed. Kelsey sat next to me. We didn't speak for a long time. We just sat there, listening to the hum of the air conditioning unit. Then Kelsey started to cry. Quiet sobs that shook her whole body. She leaned into me. I put my arms around her. I held her like I did when she was a little girl. Like I could protect her from every bad thing in the world. Mom, she whispered. I was so scared. I thought I was going to die in that room. I thought no one would find me. I thought that was how it was going to end. I held her tighter. You're here now? You're okay. You're alive. He took everything from me, she said. My sense of safety. My home. My peace. I can't even go back to my house. I can't sleep in my own bed. I can't go to work. He took it all. We'll rebuild, I said. One step at a time. But first, we need to get you some rest. You haven't slept properly in days. She pulled back. She wiped her face with her sleeve. She looked at me. I don't know if I can sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see him. I see him standing at the foot of my bed. I see his face in the dark. I took her hand. I'll stay with you. I'll be right here. I won't leave the room. She nodded. She lay down on the bed. I pulled the blanket up to her chin. I sat on the edge of the bed and stroked her hair. The same way I used to when she was a child. She closed her eyes. Her breathing started to slow. The tension in her shoulders started to ease. She was falling asleep. I looked around the room. The curtains were thin. The door had a flimsy lock. It didn't feel safe, but it had to be. I didn't have a choice. I watched her sleep for a while. She looked so young, so small, so fragile. It broke my heart. My phone buzzed. A text. I looked at the screen. An unknown numbered. You think you can hide her from me? I know where you are. I saw your car. My blood ran cold. I looked out the window. The parking lot was dark. The streetlights cast shadows. I saw a figure at the edge of the parking lot, standing still, watching. I grabbed my phone. I called Mark. He answered on the first ring. Diane, there's someone outside, I whispered. I saw them, near the road. I'll check it out, he said. Stay inside. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except me. I heard him open his door. I heard his footsteps on the pavement. I crawled off the bed and went to the window. I pulled the curtain back just an inch. I saw Mark walking toward the edge of the parking lot. He had his phone out. He was recording. The figure started to move. Walked toward a car. A dark sedan. I recognized it. It was the same car from earlier. The one that followed us from Kelsey's house. Mark kept walking. He didn't stop. The figure got into the car. The engine started. The headlights turned on. The car pulled away. Mark watched it go. He walked back to the motel. He knocked on my door. It's me, he said. I opened it. His face was grimmed. Was it him? I asked. Same car, he said. Different driver, but same car. Kelsey stirred in her sleep. She muttered something. Then she went still again. Who was it? I asked. His friend, probably, Mark said. I got a partial license plate. I'll send it to Miller. But Diane, they're not going to stop. This is a game to them. They're testing our security. They're seeing how we react. I felt a cold knot tighten in my stomach. What do we do? Mark looked at me. His eyes were steely. Resolute. We fight back. We don't run. We don't hide. We gather evidence. We document every single move they make. And we take them to court. We take every single one of them down. One by one. I nodded. It was the only option. The only thing we could do. I'll stay up tonight, Mark said. I'll watch the lot. You get some rest. Thank you, I said. He turned to leave. Then he stopped. Diane, you're a good mother. What you did today, coming to her house, breaking in, pulling her out of that room, that took guts. She's lucky to have you. I felt a lump in my throat. I just wish I'd come sooner. You came when it mattered, he said. That's what counts. He walked back to his room. I closed the door and locked it. I checked it twice. 3 times. I sat back down on the bed. Kelsey was still asleep. Her hand had fallen off the edge of the bed. I picked it up and placed it gently on the blanket. I lay down beside her. I stared at the ceiling. The air conditioning hummed. The curtains swayed slightly in the breeze from the window. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. But I stayed there, right next to my daughter. And I watched the door. I watched the window. I watched the dark outside. I was ready for anything if they didn't come back that night. But I knew they would. I knew they were still out there. Waiting. Watching. And I knew I wasn't going to let them get to my daughter. Not ever. Not while I was still breathing. Morning came slowly. Gray light crept through the thin curtains. I hadn't closed my eyes. I'd sat upright in the chair by the window, watching the parking lot, watching the road, watching for any sign of movement. There was none. Kelsey stirred on the bed. She rolled over and opened her eyes. For a second, she looked confused. Then she remembered. Her face fell. She sat up. Did you sleep at all? She asked. No. Mom, you need to rest. I'll rest when you're safe. She got out of bed. She walked to the bathroom and closed the door. I heard the water run. I heard her brush her teeth. It was such a normal sound. But nothing about this situation was normal. Mark knocked on the door at 8 o'clock. He had coffee in his hands. 3 cups. He handed one to me and one to Kelsey when she came out of the bathroom. We need to talk, he said. About what comes next. We sat on the edge of the bed. The coffee was hot. Bitter. I drank it anyway. I sent the partial plate to Miller, Mark said. He's running it. But we're not going to wait for the cops to solve this. They're understaffed. Overworked. Troy's got a lawyer who's already filing motions. This could drag out for months. Months, I said. We can't live like this for months. I know. That's why we need a different approach. He pulled out a folder. Thick. Full of papers. Photographs. Printouts. I've been building a case for weeks, he said. Kelsey gave me permission to document everything. Photos of the house. Photos of his car. A log of every time he showed up. Dates. Times. Everything. He opened the folder. There were pictures of Troy at Kelsey's house. At her school. At the grocery store she went to. There were pictures of him sitting in his car outside her apartment. There were pictures of him walking up to her front door. He's not careful, Mark said. He's sloppy. He thinks he's untouchable. That's our advantage. Kelsey was staring at the photos. Her face was pale. But she didn't look away. What do you want us to do? She asked. Mark leaned forward. I want you to testify. I want you to tell your story in court. In front of a judge. I want to file a permanent restraining order. And I want to press charges for the break-ins, the stalking, the threats. He'll come after us, Kelsey said. If we do that, he'll come after us even harder. He's already coming after you, Mark said. The only difference is whether you let him win. The only way to stop him is to fight him head-on. In the system, where he can't hide. I put my hand on Kelsey's knee. What if we go to Columbus, stay with my brother? Just disappear for a while. Running won't solve it, Mark said. Troy has resources. He has friends. He's connected to other people in this network. They'll find you. They always do. The only permanent solution is to put him away. Not just him. All of them. Kelsey looked at me. Her eyes were searching. Mom, what do you think? I took a deep breath. My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff. I think he's right, I said. We can't spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders. I'm tired of being scared. I'm tired of running. Kelsey nodded. She looked at Mark. Okay, she said. Let's do it. Mark closed the folder. Good. I'll coordinate with Miller. We'll set up a meeting with the DA. But there's something you need to know first. What? I asked. Troy's not just a stalker. He's been involved in similar cases before. 2 other women. In other cities. They got restraining orders. They moved away. He found them. Kelsey's face went white. He found them. What happened? Mark hesitated. He looked at the floor. Then he looked back up. One of them is dead, he said. She died under suspicious circumstances. The case was never solved. The other one disappeared. No one knows where she is. The room went silent. I could feel the blood drain from my face. Dead? Kelsey whispered. We're not going to let that happen to you, Mark said. We're going to be smarter. Faster. We're going to put him away before he has a chance to hurt anyone else. I stood up. My legs were shaking. I walked to the window. I looked out at the parking lot. It was empty. Quiet. But I knew they were out there. Tell me what to do, I said. Tell me exactly what to do. Mark stood up. He walked to the window and stood next to me. First, we document every communication. Every text, every call, every time you see his face. You don't delete anything. You don't block anyone. We need the evidence. Kelsey nodded. Second, you stay here. No going out alone. No opening the door to anyone you don't know. Every time you leave the room, I go with you. I nodded. Third, he said, we set a trap. A trap. The word hung in the air. What kind of trap? I asked. We get him on tape. We get him to confess. We find a way to make him reveal his plans in front of a recording device. That's what will put him away. Kelsey stood up. She walked to the window too. The 3 of us stood there, looking out at the parking lot. At the empty space where the dark sedan had been. How do we do that? She asked. Mark reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small device. It looked like a pen, but it had a tiny microphone at the tip. Hidden camera, he said. I've used these before. We plant it in the motel room. We leave a note. Something that looks like a message from you. We make it seem like you're going to be alone for a few hours. He'll take the bait. He'll come into the room. I said, yes, Mark said. And when he does, we'll have him on video. Confessing. Threatening you. We'll have enough evidence to put him away for years. It sounded risky. Dangerous. But I couldn't see any other way. We were cornered. When do we do it? I asked. Tonight, Mark said. We don't wait. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Mark went over the plan. Every detail. Every possibility. He showed us where the hidden camera would be. He showed us how to trigger the recording. He explained the escape route. I barely absorbed any of it. My mind was somewhere else. On Frank. On all the years we'd spent raising Kelsey. On all the moments I took for granted. I never thought my daughter would end up in a motel room, hiding from a man who wanted to hurt her. At 6 o'clock, Mark left the room. He had to get the camera set up. He had to coordinate with Miller. Kelsey and I sat alone. The room was quiet. The television was off. The air conditioner hummed. Do you think this will work? Kelsey asked. I don't know, I said. But I hope so. What if it doesn't? What if he doesn't fall for it? Then we try something else. She looked at me. There were tears in her eyes. I'm so tired, Mom. I'm so tired of being scared. I know, baby. I know. She leaned into me. I put my arm around her. We sat like that for a long time, just holding each other, listening to the silence. Mark came back at 8. He had a bag with him. He pulled out the camera. He set it up on the dresser. It looked like a clock radio. He aimed it at the bed, at the note he had placed on the pillow. The note said, went to the store. Be back in an hour. It was simple. Believable. Now we wait, he said. I'll be in the room next door. I'll be watching the feed on my phone. When he shows up, I'll call Miller. I'll have backup in minutes. What if he doesn't come? I asked. He'll come, Mark said. He's been watching us. He knows we're here. He's waiting for an opportunity. We turned off the lights. I sat in the dark, staring at the door. The minutes ticked by. Slow. Agonizing. Then I heard it. A car. Pulling into the parking lot. The engine cut off. A door opened. Footsteps on the pavement. My heart started pounding. I looked at Kelsey. She was frozen. Her eyes were wide. It's him. She whispered. I heard the footsteps stop at the door. The doorknob jiggled. Then it opened. Slowly. Quietly. A figure stepped into the room. Dark. Tall. He was wearing a hoodie. His face was partially hidden, but I could see his eyes. He walked toward the bed. He picked up the note. He read it. Then he laughed. A low, chilling laugh. Hello, Kelsey, he said. I know you're in there. He turned toward the closet. Toward the bathroom. He was looking for her. But she wasn't there. She was in the next room. With Mark. Safe. I was the one in the closet. He walked past me. He didn't see me. He went to the bathroom. He pushed open the door. Emptied, he turned back to the room. He pulled out his phone. He started to text someone. I'm in the motel room, he said out loud. She's not here. But she will be. She always comes back. I pressed the button on the camera. The recording started. I held my breath. He sat down on the bed. He pulled out a knife. He held it in his hand, turning it over. Looking at it, I've been waiting for this, he said to himself. I've been waiting so long. He looked at the photo of Kelsey on his phone. He smiled. You can't hide from me, he said. No one can. I always find them. I always have. I felt a chill run down my spine. I knew it was coming. I knew he'd look in the closet. He stood up. He walked toward the closet door. He opened it. We stared at each other. Who the hell are you? He said. But before I could answer, the door to the motel room burst open. Police. Swarming in. Guns drawn. Get on the ground. Get on the ground now. He dropped the knife. He put his hands up. They tackled him to the floor. Handcuffed him. Mark appeared in the doorway. He had his phone in his hand. He was smiling. I got it, he said. I got everything. I stumbled out of the closet. My knees were shaking. My heart was racing. Kelsey ran in from the next room. She threw her arms around me. We held each other. Crying. Laughing. Both. You did it, she said. You did it, Mom. I hugged her tighter. We got him. We finally got him. ACT 3. Chinese translation. Di san mu. Zhao chen lai de hun man. Hun meng de gongshan ko guo bao bao de chonglan sheng jinglat. Or mei hergoyan. Was I chong ban de yi zishang dridrid de zola yijing yit. Ding jug ting chua chong. Ding jug gong lu. Ding jug run kua dongjing. Samo ye mayo. Karshi, zai chong song dong la dong. Ta fan lager sun. Zheng kai yan jing. Yonema yi mao. Ta shandud hung kunawa. Ran ho ta shang chi lad luk. Ta de lan shun la shalad. Ta zola chi lad. I soilamak. Kawan. Mayo. Ma, ni de休息。等你安全了，我再休息。他下了床，他走进卫生间，关上了门。我听到水流的声音，我听到他沙哑的声音，多么平常的声音，但眼前的一切没有一样是正常的。马克8点来敲门，他手里端着咖啡，3杯，他递了一杯给我，又递了一杯给从浴室出来的凯尔西。我们得谈谈，他说。谈谈接下来怎么办？我们坐在床沿上，咖啡滚烫，苦涩，但我还是喝了。我把那个不完整的车牌号发给米勒了。马克说，他正在追查，但我们不能坐等警察来解决这件事。他们人手不足，工作过载。特洛伊有个律师已经在提各种动议了，这事可能会拖上好几个月。几个月，我说。我们不可能这样过几个月，我知道，所以我们需要换一种方式。他拿出一个文件夹，厚厚的，塞满了文件、照片、打印件。我已经收集了几星期的证据。他说，凯尔西授权我记录一切，房子的照片，他车的照片，每一次他出现的时间、日期，我都有记录，全部都有。他翻开文件夹，里面有特洛伊在凯尔西家门口的照片，在他学校门口，在他常去的超市，有他坐在车里，停在他公寓楼外的照片，还有他走到他前门去的照片。他并不小心，马克说，他很粗心，他觉得自己有恃无恐，这是我们的优势。凯尔西盯着那些照片，脸色苍白，但他没有移开目光。你想让我们做什么？他问。马克向前探了探身。我想让你出庭作证，在法官面前把你的故事讲出来。我要申请一份永久限制令，我还要以入室、跟踪和威胁罪名起诉他。他会报复我们的，凯尔西说。如果我们这样做，他会更加不择手段。他已经在报复你了，马克说。唯一的区别是，你要不要让他赢？能阻止他的唯一办法，就是正面和他斗，在法律框架里斗，在他无处藏身的地方斗。我把手放在凯尔西的膝盖上。要不我们去哥伦布，去我哥哥那里住一阵子，暂时消失一阵子。逃避解决不了问题，马克说。特洛伊有资源，他有同伙， 他和这网络里的其他人都有联系，他们会找到你的，他们总是能做到。唯一一劳永逸的办法，就是把他关进去。不只是他，是他们所有人。凯尔西看着我，他的眼神在探寻。妈，你觉得呢？我深吸一口气，心脏狂跳，手在抖。我感觉自己站在悬崖边上。我觉得他说的对。我说，我们不能余生都在提心吊胆中度过。我已经厌倦了害怕，厌倦了逃跑。凯尔西点了点头，他看着马克。好，他说，我们干。马克合上了文件夹。很好，我会跟米勒协调，我们会安排和地区检察官见面。但首先，有件事你们需要知道。什么？我问。特洛伊不只是个跟踪狂，他以前就涉及过类似案件。另外2个女人在其他城市，他们申请了限制令，搬走了。他找到了他们。凯尔西的脸刷得白了。他找到了他们。然后呢？马克迟疑了一下，他看了看地面，然后又抬起头来。其中1个人死了。他说，死因可疑，案子一直没破。另一个失踪了，没人知道他在哪儿。房间里一片沉默，我感觉血从脸上褪去。死了，凯尔西低声说，我们不会让这种事发生在你身上。马克说，我们会更聪明，更快。我们要在他有机会伤害别人之前把他关起来。我站了起来，腿在发抖。我走到窗边，我看着停车场，空荡荡的，安静的，但我知道他们就在外面，告诉我该怎么做。我说，告诉我该怎么做。马克站了起来，他走到窗边，站在我旁边。第一，记录每一次通信，每条短信，每通电话，每一次你看见他的脸。什么都别删，什么都别拉黑，我们需要证据。凯尔西点了点头。第二，你就待在这里，绝不独自外出，绝不给不认识的人开门。每次离开房间，我都跟你一起去。我点了点头。第三，他说，我们设个圈套。圈套这个词悬在空气里，什么样的圈套？我问。我们要录下他，让他亲口承认。我们要想办法让他在录音设备前暴露他的计划，这才是能把他送进去的东西。凯尔西也站了起来，他也走到窗边。我们3个人站在那里，一起看着停车场，看着那辆深色轿车曾经停过的那片空地。我们该怎么做？他问。马克把手伸进口袋，掏出一个小装置，看起来像一支笔，但尖端有一个极小的麦克风，隐藏摄像头。他说，我以前用过这种，我们把它放在这间汽车旅馆的房间里。我们留一张纸条，看起来像是你留给他的消息。我们要让他觉得你会独自待上几个小时，他会中计的。他会进这个房间。我说，对。马克说，等他进来的时候，我们就把他的画面全录下来，让他亲口承认，亲口威胁你。我们会有足够的证据，让他蹲好几年。听起来很冒险，很危险，但我想不出别的办法。我们被逼到墙角了，什么时候动手？我问。今晚。马克说，不能拖。他说明了逃跑路线。我几乎什么都没记住，我的思绪飘到了别处，飘到了弗兰克身上，飘到了我们养育凯尔西的那些年月，飘到了那些我以为是理所当然的时刻。我从没想过我女儿最后会躲在一间汽车旅馆里，躲避一个想伤害她的男人。6点钟，马克离开了房间，他要去布置摄像头，他还要和米勒协调。凯尔西和我独自待着，房间里安安静静，电视关着，空调嗡嗡作响。你觉得这能行吗？凯尔西问。我不知道，我说，但我希望行。如果不行呢？如果他不中计呢？那我们就想别的办法。他看着我，眼里含着泪。 我好累，妈，我害怕的筋疲力尽了。我知道，宝贝，我知道。他靠在我身上，我伸手搂住他，我们就那样坐了很久，只是彼此抱着，听着这片寂静。马克8点回来了，他带了一个包，他取出摄像头，他把它放在梳妆台上，看起来像个中控收音机。他把镜头对准床，对准他放在枕头上的那张纸条，纸条上写着：去商店了，1小时回来。很简单，很可信。现在我们等着。他说：我在隔壁房间，我会用手机看实时画面。他一旦出现，我就打给米勒，几分钟内就会有人来支援。如果他不来呢？我问。他会来的，马克说。他一直在监视我们，他知道我们在这儿，他在等机会。一辆车开进了停车场，引擎熄了，车门开了，人行道上的脚步声，我的心开始狂跳。我看着凯尔西，他僵住了，他的眼睛睁得大大的。是他，他耳语道。我听到脚步声在门口停住了，门把手动了一下，然后门打开了，慢慢的，轻轻的，一个身影走进了房间，黑色的，高大的，他穿着连帽衫，他的脸半遮着，但我能看到他的眼睛。他走向床边，他拿起那张纸条，他读了上面的字，然后他笑了，一声低沉的，让人不寒而栗的笑。你好，凯尔西，他说，我知道你就在里面。他转向壁橱，转向浴室，他在找他。但他不在那儿，他就在隔壁房间，和马克在一起，安全的。在壁橱里的是我，他从我身边走过，他没有看见我。他走进浴室，他推开门，空的。他转回房间，他掏出手机，他开始给人发消息。我在汽车旅馆房间里，他大声说，他不在这儿，但他会回来的，他总是会回来。我按下摄像头上的按钮，录像开始了。我屏住呼吸。他在床上坐了下来，他掏出一把刀，握在手里，翻转着刀身，端详着他。我等这一刻等很久了，他对自己说，我等了太久了。他看了看手机上凯尔西的照片，他笑了。你躲不了我，他说，谁也不能。我总是能找到他们，我总能找到。我背脊一阵发凉，我知道要来了，我知道他会往壁橱里看。他站了起来，他向壁橱门走来，他打开了门，我们对视着。你到底是谁？他说，但我还没来得及回答，汽车旅馆房间的门就被撞开了，警察涌了进来，枪已拔出，趴下，马上趴下。他丢下刀，他举起双手，他们把他按倒在地，靠上了他。马克出现在门口，他手里拿着手机，他在笑。录下来了，他说，我全录下来了。我从壁橱里踉跄着出来，膝盖发软，心脏狂跳。凯尔西从隔壁房间跑了进来，他一把抱住了我，我们彼此拥抱着，又哭又笑，一起。你做到了，他说，你做到了，妈。我把他抱得更紧了，我们抓住他了，我们终于抓住他了。ACT 4TO follow. The police took Troy away in handcuffs. He didn't say a word. He just stared at me with those cold eyes. Even as they pushed his head down into the back of the cruiser, he didn't blink. He just watched me, watched Kelsey, watched Mark, like he was memorizing our faces, like he was planning his next move at the motel parking lot filled with blue and red lights. Neighbors came out of their rooms. Some were in bathrobes. Some were holding phones, recording everything. A woman in room 14 stood on her doorstep with a cigarette in her hand, watching the scene like it was a television show. I didn't care. Let them watch. Let them film. Let them post it online. I didn't care about anything except the fact that my daughter was standing next to me, alive and breathing. With her hand in mine, Detective Miller came over. He looked tired. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He probably hadn't. Troy's in custody, he said. We'll hold him overnight. We'll file charges in the morning. Breaking and entering. Stalking. Possession of a weapon. Threats. He's not getting out this time. I nodded. I didn't feel relieved. I didn't feel safe. I felt like I was still holding my breath. What about the other man? I asked. The one in the dark sedan. The one who followed us from Kelsey's house. Miller's face tightened. We found the car. It was reported stolen. The plates were fake. We're still trying to track him down. Track him down, Kelsey's voice cracked. You don't even know who he is. We know he's a friend of Troy's, Miller said. We've got a partial description from the motel clerk, but it's not enough to make an arrest. Not yet. Mark stepped forward. I've got footage from tonight. I've got him on the edge of the parking lot. It's grainy, but it's something. I'll send it to you. Appreciate that, Miller said. He turned back to Kelsey. For now, I recommend you stay somewhere else. Not here. Not your house. Someplace he doesn't know about. We'll provide security details for the next few days. I felt a wave of exhaustion wash over me. It was like I'd been running a marathon. Like my body was finally catching up with the adrenaline. Every muscle in my back ached. My head was throbbing. Where? I asked. Where are we supposed to go? Mark looked at me. He had that same steady look in his eyes. My place, he said. I've got a guest room. It's small, but it's secure. I know how to set up a safe perimeter. I've got cameras. I've got an alarm system. No one's getting in without me knowing. I looked at Kelsey. She nodded. Okay, I said. Thank you. Mark's house was a modest 2-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood east of the city. The streets were lined with old oak trees. The lawns were neat. The neighbors had white fences and mailboxes shaped like barns. It was the kind of neighborhood that looked safe. The kind of neighborhood where nothing bad ever happened. I knew that was an illusion. Bad things happened everywhere. But it was better than a motel room. Better than the fear that had been sitting in my chest for days. Mark showed us to the guest room. It was clean. A bed with a blue quilt. A desk with a lamp. A window with blinds that he'd already tested. He showed us the deadbolt on the door. The chain lock. The alarm pad by the bedside. You'll be safe here, he said. We thanked him. He left us alone. Kelsey sat on the bed. She looked around the room. She looked at the window, the door, the ceiling. She was still scanning for threats. Still looking for the danger. Kelsey, I said, look at me. She did. You're safe. You're not in that house anymore. He's not under your bed. He's in a cell. A real cell. With bars. I know, she said. But I can still feel him. I can still feel him watching me. I sat down next to her. That feeling will fade. It'll take time. But it'll fade. What if it never fades? I didn't have an answer for that. I just held her hand. The next few days passed like a blur. We went to the courthouse. We filed the restraining order. We met with the district attorney. She was a sharp woman in her 40s. Her name was Patricia. She had short hair and glasses and an office full of filing cabinets. Troy's lawyer is going to try to paint you as unstable, Patricia said. He'll say you were asking for it. He'll say you let him on. That's what they always do. That's their playbook. I don't care what they say, Kelsey said. I know what happened. I lived it. That's exactly what I need, Patricia said. Your testimony. Your voice. Your story. The hearing was set for Friday. 5 days away. 5 days of waiting. 5 days of hiding. 5 days of looking over my shoulder every time I left the house. Mark stayed with us almost the whole time. He went to the grocery store. He cooked dinner. He sat with us at night and watched the news. He didn't hover. He just was there. Solid. Present. One evening, he sat down with Kelsey on the couch. She was scrolling through her phone. She hadn't looked at social media since she went into hiding. He put his hand on top of hers. Don't, he said. Don't look at it. Not yet. I want to see what he's been posting, she said. There's nothing good there. Trust me. I've seen it. He's been posting about you for months. He's been sharing your photos with his friends. They've all been talking about you. Kelsey's face went pale. My photos? What kind of photos? Ones he took. Ones he got from your social media. Ones he found on your phone when he broke in. She put the phone down. Her hands were shaking. Why didn't you tell me? She asked. Because I knew you'd want to look, he said. I knew it would hurt you. And right now, you don't need more hurt. She leaned her head on his shoulder. He put his arm around her. I watched them from the kitchen doorway. I felt something shift in my chest. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Friday came. The courthouse was a tall building made of gray stone. The halls were cold and quiet. I could hear the echo of our footsteps as we walked to the courtroom. Kelsey was wearing a blue blouse. I'd bought it for her the day before. She wanted to look strong. She wanted to look like she wasn't afraid that the courtroom was full. Troy was there. He was wearing a suit. His hair was combed. He looked clean. He looked like a normal man, like someone you'd see at a coffee shop or a bank. I hated him more in that moment than I ever had before. His lawyer was a thin man in a cheap suit. He had a nervous smile. He kept shuffling papers. He looked like a man who knew he was losing. Patricia stood up. She called Kelsey to the stand. Kelsey walked forward. Her legs were shaking. She put her hand on the Bible. She swore to tell the truth. Then she told her story. All of it. The beginning. The flowers on the porch. The notes on her door. The pictures in her mailbox. The break-ins. The night she woke up and saw him standing at the foot of her bed. The 5 days in the dark under the bed. The scratching. The fear. The loneliness. She didn't cry. She didn't tremble. She spoke in a clear, steady voice. She looked right at him the whole time. When she was done, the courtroom was silent. I could hear someone crying in the back. A woman. She was covering her mouth. The lawyer stood up. He tried to cross-examine her. He tried to make her seem confused. He tried to catch her in a lie. But there was no lie. There was only the truth. And the truth was written all over her face as she stepped down from the stand. She walked back to me. I pulled her into my arms. "You did it," I whispered. "You did it, baby." The judge spoke. He was a quiet man with a bald head and reading glasses. He looked at Troy. He looked at his lawyer. He looked at the evidence. The photographs. The text messages. The videos. The testimony. "Mr. Troy," he said, "based on the evidence presented, I am granting a permanent restraining order. You are to have no contact with Ms. Walters. You are not to come within 500 feet of her residence, her workplace, or her person. Any violation will result in immediate arrest and criminal prosecution." Troy didn't react. He just stared ahead. His lawyer nodded. He put his hand on Troy's shoulder. Troy shrugged it off. Additionally, the judge continued, "The criminal charges of breaking and entering, stalking, and possession of a deadly weapon are bound over for trial. The defendant is remanded into custody without bail." The bailiffs stepped forward. They handcuffed him. They let him out of the courtroom. And just like that, it was over. But I knew it wasn't over. Not really. The trial was still coming. The network was still out there. The dark sedan was still looking for us. But for this one moment, we were free. Kelsey stood beside me. She was crying, but she was smiling. A real smile. The first one I'd seen in days. "It's over," she said. "It's finally over." I held her face in my hands. I looked into her eyes. "No," I said. "It's not over. But we're fighting back. And that's what matters." She nodded. We walked out of the courthouse together. The sun was shining. For the first time in a long time, I felt warm. Act4 Chinese translation. 即使他们把他的头按低，塞进警车后座，他都没有眨眼，他就那样看着我，看着凯尔西，看着马克，就像在记住我们的脸，就像在策划下一步。汽车旅馆的停车场被红蓝两色的灯光铺满了，邻居们从房间里探出头来，有的人穿着浴袍，有的人举着手机，把一切都录了下来。14号房的一个女人叼着烟站在门口，看着这场面，就像在看一档电视节目。我不在乎，让他们看吧，让他们拍吧，让他们发到网上去吧，我什么也不在乎，除了我的女儿正站在我身边的事实，她还活着，还在呼吸，她的手握在我手里。米勒警探走了过来，他看起来很累，他看起来像好几天没睡了，他可能真的没有。特洛伊被拘留了，他说，我们今晚会看住他，明早就提起控诉，非法入侵、跟踪、持有武器、威胁。他这次是出不来了。我点了点头，我没有感到如释重负，我没有觉得安全，我感觉自己还在凭着呼吸。另外那个人呢？我问。那辆深色轿车里的人，那个从凯尔西家一直跟着我们的。米勒的脸绷紧了。我们找到了那辆车，报失的，车牌是假的。我们还在追查他的下落。追查下落，凯尔西的声音发颤了。你们连他是谁都不知道。我们知道他是特洛伊的朋友，米勒说。汽车旅馆店员给出了一个部分的体貌描述。但不足以逮捕他，还没到那步。马克走上前来，我有今晚的路线，我在停车场边缘拍到他了。画质有点粗糙，但多少算个线索，我会发给你的。谢了，米勒说。他转回身对凯尔西说，目前 我建议你们住到别处去，不要这里，不要你家，找一个他不知道的地方。接下来几天我们会安排人手保护你们。一阵疲惫感席卷了我，就像我一直在跑马拉松，就像我的身体终于追上了肾上腺素的后劲。我后背的每一块肌肉都在疼，太阳斜突突的跳。去哪儿？我问。我们能去哪儿？马克看着我，他眼里依然是那种笃定的目光。我家，他说，我有间客房，不大，但安全。我知道怎么布置安全警戒区。我有摄像头，我有报警系统，没有人能在不被我发现的情况下进来。我看着凯尔西，他点了点头。好，我说，谢谢你。马克的房子在城东一个安静的社区，不大，2间卧室，街道两旁是老像素，草坪修得整整齐齐。邻居家有白色栅栏，信箱做成谷仓的形状。那是一个看起来就很安全的社区，那种好像从来不会出事的社区。我知道那是假象，坏事什么地方都会发生，但这比汽车旅馆好，比我胸口盘踞了好几天的恐惧好。马克带我们看了客房，很干净。一张铺着蓝色被子的床，一张桌子和一盏台灯。一散，他事先检查过百叶窗的窗户。他给我们看了门上的插销锁、防盗链、床头柜旁边的报警器键盘。你们在这里会很安全的。他说。我们道了谢，他留我们独处。凯尔西坐在床上，他环顾了一下房间，他看了看窗户、门、天花板，他还在扫描可能的威胁，还在寻找危险。凯尔西，我说。看着我，他照做了。你现在安全了，你不在那栋房子里了，他不在你的床底下，他在牢房里，真正的牢房，有铁栏杆的。我知道，他说，但我还是能感觉得到他，我还能感觉到他在看着我。我在他身边坐了下来，那种感觉会慢慢消失的，需要时间，但会消失的。如果它永远不会消失呢？我答不上来，我只是握着他的手。接下来的几天过得恍恍惚惚。我们去了法院，我们申请了限制令，我们会见了地区检察官。她是个40来岁、目光锐利的女人，她叫帕特里夏，留着短发，戴眼镜。办公室里全是文件柜。特洛伊的律师会想方设法把你描绘成一个情绪不稳定的人。帕特里夏说，他会说你是自找的，他会说你在勾引他。他们一向是这套路数，他们的剧本。我不在乎他们怎么说。凯尔西说，我知道发生了什么，我亲身经历的，这正是我需要的。帕特里夏说，你的证词，你的声音，你的故事。庭审定在周五，5天以后，5天的等待，5天的躲藏，5天每次出门都要回头张望的日子。马克几乎全程陪着我们，他去买菜，他做饭，他晚上陪着我们看新闻。他不紧逼，他就是在那里，沉稳的，在场的。一天晚上，他在沙发上挨着凯尔西坐下，他在刷手机。他自躲起来以后就没看过社交媒体。他把手放在他手上，别，他说，别看，还不到时候。我想看看他都发了些什么。他说，那里头没什么好东西，相信我，我看过了。他连着几个月都在发关于你的帖子，他把你的照片分享给他的同伙，他们一直在谈论你。凯尔西的脸煞得白了。我的照片？什么样的照片？他拍的，他从你社交账号上拿的，他撬进去之后从你手机里找到的。他把手机放下了，手在发抖。你为什么不告诉我？他问。因为我知道你看了会难受。他说，我知道那会伤害你，而你现在不需要更多的伤害。全部，从一开始，门廊上的花，门上的字条，信箱里的照片，入室闯入。那天夜里，他醒来，看见他站在他床尾。那5天在黑暗中躲在床下的日子，那抓挠声，恐惧，孤独。他没有哭，他没有发抖， 他的声音清晰而沉稳，他自始至终直视着他。他说完之后，法庭里一片沉寂。我听到后排有人在哭，一个女人，她捂着自己的嘴。那律师站了起来，他试图交叉质询他，他试图让他显得语无伦次，他试图抓住他话里的漏洞，但没有漏洞，只有事实。事实就写在他脸上。他走下证人席，他走回我身边，我把他拉进怀里。你做到了，我轻声说，你做到了，宝贝。法官开口了，他是个秃顶，戴着老花镜的安静男人。他看了看特洛伊，看了看他的律师，看了看证据、照片、短信记录、视频、证词。特洛伊先生，他说，基于现有证据，我批准永久限制令。你不得与沃尔特斯女士有任何接触，你不得靠近她住所、工作场所或她本人500英尺以内。任何违规行为都将导致立即逮捕和刑事起诉。特洛伊毫无反应，他只是直视前方。他的律师点了点头，他把手放在特洛伊肩上。特洛伊甩开了他的手。此外，法官继续说道，非法入侵、跟踪、持有致命武器等刑事指控移交审判。被告还押候审，不得保释。那辆深色轿车还在找我们，但至少在这一刻，我们自由了。泰尔西站在我身边，他在哭，但他也在笑，真真切切的笑。好几天以来，我第一次见到。结束了，他说，终于结束了。我双手捧着他的脸，我看着他的眼睛。不，我说，还没有结束，但我们正在反击，这才是最重要的。The weeks after the hearing were strange, quiet in a way that felt unnatural, like the world had hit the mute button. I went back to my house. Kelsey came with me. She couldn't stay in her own place. Not yet. The memories were too fresh. The walls still felt like they were closing in. We settled into a routine. I made coffee in the morning. She sat at the kitchen table and stared out the window. We watched the birds at the feeder Frank built. We didn't talk much. We didn't need to. Mark came by every few days. He checked on us. He made sure the locks were secure. He scanned the street. He looked for any sign of the dark sedan. We never saw it again, but I knew it was out there. Somewhere. The trial was set for November. 3 months away. 3 months of waiting. 3 months of living in limbo. The prosecution had a strong case. Patricia told us that. She said the evidence was overwhelming. The photos, the videos, the recordings from the motel, Kelsey's testimony, Troy's own words on tape. He's not getting out of this, Patricia said. Not with everything we have. But she also warned us. His friends are still out there. The network is still active. They've been quiet since his arrest. That's not a good sign. That means they're laying low. That means they're planning something. I try not to think about it. I focused on Kelsey, on getting her through each day, on helping her eat, helping her sleep, helping her leave the house without flinching at every shadow that she started therapy. A woman named Dr. Evans. She had a warm smile and a quiet office with a box of tissues on the table. Kelsey went twice a week. Sometimes I drove her. Sometimes Mark did. She's doing well, Dr. Evans told me one afternoon. She's making progress. But she's still traumatized. That takes time. You can't rush it. I know, I said. I just want her to be okay. She will be. But she needs your patience. And she needs you to take care of yourself too. I hadn't thought about myself in weeks. I'd been running on adrenaline and coffee and guilt. Guilt that I hadn't known. Guilt that I hadn't come sooner. Guilt that I hadn't protected her. I started walking in the evenings. Just around the block. Past the houses with their lit windows. Past the families eating dinner. Past the dogs barking at fences. I walked to clear my head. To remind myself that the world was still normal. That people were still living their lives. One evening, I came home and found Kelsey in the living room. She was looking at something on her phone. Her face was pale. Mom, she said. Come here. I walked over. She turned the phone toward me. It was a social media post. A photo of Kelsey. A photo from years ago. She was laughing. She looked happy. It was a picture she'd posted on her private account. The account that was supposed to be locked. The account that only her friends could see. The caption said, "Found her. She thinks she's safe. She's not." I felt my stomach drop. Who posted that? I asked. I don't know, she said. The account is new. No profile picture. No followers. But they tagged me. They wanted me to see it. I grabbed my phone. I called Mark. Someone posted a photo of Kelsey, I said. A private photo. It says they found her. Mark was quiet for a second. Then he said, I'm on my way. Don't respond. Don't block them. Screenshot everything. I'll be there in 10 minutes. He showed up in 8. He walked through the front door with his phone in his hand. He was already on the call with Miller. It's a burner account, he said. Untraceable. But it's connected to the network. They're sending a message. They want us to know they're still watching. Kelsey was sitting on the couch. She was hugging her knees. She looked small. Vulnerable. I can't do this again, she said. I can't keep living like this. Mark sat down next to her. You're not doing it alone. We're with you. We're going to find out who posted this. We're going to trace the account. And we're going to shut them down. How, she asked. You said it's untraceable. It's untraceable through normal means. But I know people who can do things with data that the police can't. I've worked with them before. They're good. They're discreet. I sat down on the other side of Kelsey. I put my hand on her back. We'll get through this, I said. We always do. The next few days were tense. Mark brought in a specialist. A woman named Rachel. She was in her early 30s. She had dark hair and a laptop covered in stickers. She sat at our dining table for hours, typing furiously, her eyes glued to the screen. These guys are good, she said. They're using VPNs, encrypted messaging. They know what they're doing. But they're not perfect. They make mistakes. What kind of mistakes? I asked. Digital footprints. They leave traces. IP addresses that slip through. Metadata that doesn't get scrubbed. I just need time. We gave her time. A week passed. 2 weeks. Kelsey stopped checking her phone. She let Mark and Rachel handle the digital side. She focused on therapy, on healing, on trying to feel normal again. One afternoon, Rachel looked up from her laptop. Her face was different. Excited. I found something, she said. We gathered around the table. She turned the screen toward us. It showed a map, a series of dots connected by lines. A network of IP addresses. This is them, she said. This is the network. They're scattered across the state. Some of them are in neighboring states. But they're connected. They all communicate with each other. They share information. Photos. Addresses. Schedules. Kelsey stared at the screen. There's so many of them. 23 confirmed accounts, Rachel said. Some of them are active. Some of them are dormant. But they're all part of the same group. They all know each other. I felt a chill run down my spine. What do we do with this? Rachel looked at Mark. He nodded. We give it to the DA, he said. We give it to the police. We build a case against the whole network. Not just Troy. All of them. We can do that, Kelsey asked. With this evidence, yes, Rachel said. I've traced their communications. I've recorded their chats. They've been talking about you for months. They've been sharing your address, your photos, your daily routine. They've been coordinating. Kelsey sat back. Her face was white. They were all watching me, she whispered. All of them. Yes, Rachel said. But now we're watching them. The data was turned over to the DA's office. Patricia called us the next day. She said the evidence was explosive. She said they were filing charges against 8 members of the network. They were seeking warrants to search their homes and devices. They were moving fast. We're going to dismantle this thing, Patricia said. Piece by piece. They're not going to be able to hurt anyone else. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. A small one. But it was real. Kelsey started sleeping better. She started eating more. She started making plans for the future. She talked about going back to teaching. She talked about finding a new apartment, a new life, a fresh start. I want to be brave, she told me one night. I want to stop being scared. You are brave, I said. You've been brave this whole time. Then why do I still feel so broken? I pulled her close. Because healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel strong. Some days you'll feel weak. But you keep going. That's what bravery is. She nodded. She held me tight. The trial came in November. It was cold outside. The first snow of the year was falling. The courthouse was cold. The hallways were drafty. The walls were the same gray stone. Troy was there. He looked different. Older. His hair was thinner. His face was gaunt. He had lost weight. He had lost the arrogance. He looked like a man who knew he was beaten. The prosecution presented the evidence. Rachel's data. Mark's footage. Kelsey's testimony. The photographs. The text messages. The recordings. It was overwhelming. There was no way to deny it. Troy's lawyer tried. He made a weak closing argument. He said Troy had mental health issues. He said he needed treatment, not prison. The jury didn't buy it. They deliberated for 3 hours. 3 hours. That was all. The verdict came back. Guilty on all counts. Breaking and entering. Stalking. Possession of a deadly weapon. Threats. All of it. That the judge sentenced him to 15 years. 15 years in state prison. No parole. No early release. 15 years. Kelsey grabbed my hand. She squeezed it. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just stood there. Strong. Steady. After the trial, we went back to my house. Mark came with us. Rachel came too. We sat around the table. We ordered pizza. We talked. We laughed. For the first time in months, we relaxed. Kelsey stood up. She walked to the window. She looked out at the snow. Mom, she said, I think I'm ready to go home. I looked at her. Your place, are you sure? I don't want to be afraid anymore. I want to go back. I want to sleep in my own bed. I want to teach my students. I want to live my life again. I walked over to her. I put my hand on her shoulder. Then we'll go, I said. Together. The next day, we went to Kelsey's house. The house that had felt like a prison. The house where she had hidden under the bed for 5 days. The house where she had heard the scratching. The house where she had been so alone. I stood outside while she went in. She needed to do it alone. She needed to prove to herself that she could. She was inside for 10 minutes. 10 minutes that felt like hours. I watched the front door. I held my breath. Then she came out. She was smiling. A real smile. The kind that reached her eyes. It's okay, she said. It's just a house. It's just walls and floors and a bed. It's not a prison. Not anymore. I hugged her. I didn't let go. We went inside together. We opened the curtains. We let the light in. We started cleaning. We scrubbed the floors. We washed the linens. We aired out the rooms. We made it hers again. And when the sun went down, she went to bed. In her own bed. Her own room. Her own house. I stayed in the guest room. I lay awake for a while. I listened to the silence. There was no scratching. No footsteps. No fear. Just peace. The next morning, Kelsey came into the kitchen. She was dressed for work. She had her bag over her shoulder. She had a coffee cup in her hand. I'm ready, she said. I'm going back to school today. I smiled. That's great, sweetheart. I'm still scared, she said. I think I'll always be a little scared. But I'm not going to let it stop me. Life is too short. She walked to the door. She paused. She turned back. Thank you, Mom, she said. For everything. Thank you for being so brave, I said. She walked out the door. I watched her get into her car. I watched her drive away. And I let myself breathe. I thought about everything we'd been through. The fear. The hiding. The court. The trial. The verdict. I thought about Troy in his cell. I thought about the network being dismantled. I thought about all the women who would never have to go through what Kelsey went through. Because we fought back. But I also thought about the dark sedan. The man who was still out there. The friends who were still connected. The threat that hadn't fully disappeared. That's the thing about evil. It never really goes away. It just finds new forms. New faces. New ways to hide. But we're not hiding anymore. I walked to the living room. I picked up the framed photo of Frank. I held it in my hands. Your daughter is okay, I said. She's going to be okay. Frank didn't answer. He was just a photograph. Just a memory. But I felt him. I felt him in the room with me. I thought about all the mothers who had gone through this. All the women who had been stalked. All the families who had been torn apart. I thought about the ones who hadn't had someone like Mark or Rachel. The ones who had been alone. I sat down. I looked out the window. The snow was still falling. The world was white and quiet and peaceful. Kelsey was alive. She was free. She was teaching again. She was healing. And I was so damn proud of her. I picked up my phone. I opened the social media app. I looked at the post that had terrified us weeks ago. The one with Kelsey's photo. The one that said she wasn't safe. I deleted it. I blocked the account. I wrote something else. Something true. I wrote. You thought you could break us. You thought you could make us afraid. But you were wrong. We are not afraid. We are not broken. We are still here. And we are still standing. I hit post. Then I put my phone down. I walked to the kitchen. I made coffee. I sat at the table. I watched the bird defeated. If a new day. It will be defined as CD5. Chinese translation. Things in just devoted to Xing Qi and Qi Gai. Anjing. Anjing. Shang Shi Sugar and Xia Ding Jia. If we don't see Jia. Can he continue Yichi? Tell like thing Jui see Jia. Hai Bushing. I think Tai Sheng O. And Shi Ching Teng on top. 我们渐渐形成一种作息，早上就咖啡， 他做的餐桌前望着窗外，我们一起看着风客做的那个微闹气象小鸟。我们不这么说话，我们也不笑。马克每个几天他就来一趟，他来看看我们，是人们所嗜好的。他扫视街道，他找那辆深色轿车的登记，我们再也没见过他。我知道他还在那，怎么去？听有3个月了，3个月前就检方的案子跟前，同意下告诉我们，这所有听得到照片、视频，这个可能录音，可惜的动作，你说个话都证明他这次跑不掉的。下说，以我们手上的证据。但他也警告过我们，他的同伙还在外面，那个网络还在活动。他被捕以后，他们就安静了，这不是好兆头。这意味着他们在潜伏，这意味着他们在盘算着什么。我尽量不去想，我专注于凯尔西，帮他把每一天过下去，帮他吃饭，帮他睡觉，帮他出门，不再在每个阴影前畏缩。他开始接受心理治疗，一个叫埃文斯医生的女人，她笑起来很温暖。办公室很安静，桌上放着一盒纸巾。凯尔西每周去2次，有时我送他去，有时马克送。他恢复得不错。一天下午，埃文斯医生对我说，他一直在进步，但他还是有创伤的，那需要时间，急不来的。我知道，我说，我只希望他好好的，他会好的，但他需要你的耐心，他还需要你也照顾好你自己。我已经好几个星期没想过自己了，我一直靠着肾上腺素、咖啡和愧疚撑着，愧疚自己一无所知，愧疚自己没有早点来，愧疚自己没有保护好他。我开始傍晚出去散步，就在街区附近转转，走过那些亮着灯的房子，走过那些正在吃晚饭的一家人，走过那些对着篱笆吠叫的狗。我走路是为了清空思绪，告诉自己这个世界还是正常的，人们还在过着自己的生活。一天傍晚，我回到家，发现凯尔西在客厅里，他正盯着手机看，他的脸色苍白。妈，他说，你过来一下。他在笑，他看起来很开心，那是他发在自己私密账号上的照片，那个本该设了前线的账号，那个只有他朋友能看到的账号。配文写着，找到他了。他以为他安全了，他错了。我的胃猛地一沉，这是谁发的？我问。我不知道。他说，这个账号是新开的，没有头像，没有粉丝，但他们艾特了我，他们想让我看到。我抓起手机，我打给马克，有人在网上发了凯尔西的照片。我说，一张私密照。配文说他们找到他了。马克沉默了一瞬，然后他说，我马上到，别回复，别拉黑，截图所有东西，我10分钟之内到。他8分钟就到了。他走进前门时，手上已经拿着手机，他已经在跟米勒通话了。这是个一次性账号，他说，无法追踪，但和那个网络有关联。他们这是在传递信号，他们想让我们知道他们还在看着。凯尔西坐在沙发上，他抱着膝盖，他看起来很弱小，很脆弱。我不能再经历一次了，他说，我不能这样活下去了。马克在他旁边坐下，你不是一个人扛，我们和你在一起，我们会查出发帖的人，我们会追踪这个账号，我们会把他们一锅端。怎么端？他问。你说过这账号是追踪不了的，靠常规手段是追踪不了，但我认识一些人，他们能用警方做不到的方式处理数据。我以前跟他们合作过，他们很厉害，他们很谨慎。我把手放在他背上，我们会挺过去的。我说，我们总是能挺过去。接下来的几天很紧张，马克请来了一位专家，一个人叫Rachel，他33后深色头发，笔本电脑上贴满了贴纸。他在我家餐桌上坐了好几个小时，疯狂地敲着键盘，眼睛紧盯着屏幕。这些人很在行，他说。 他们用 VPN，用加密通讯，他们知道自己在做什么，但他们不完美，他们会犯错误。什么样的错误？我问。数字足迹，他们会留下痕迹，有些 IP 地址会暴露，有些元数据没有清除干净。我只是需要时间。我们给了他时间，一个星期过去了，两个星期过去了，可是不再看手机了。他让马克和瑞秋处理速度那方面的事，他专注于治疗，专注于恢复。专注于找回正常的感觉。一天下午，瑞秋从病人电脑前抬起头来，他的表情变了，兴奋的，找到了。他说：“我们回到这边。”他把屏幕转向我们，上面是一张地图，一些有线套连接起来的样点，一个 IP 值的网络。这就是他们。他说。这就是那个网络，他们分散在州内各地，有些在相邻的州，但他们是连在一起的。他们全都互相交流，他们共享信息、照片、住址、时间表。凯尔西盯着屏幕，这么多。已确认的账号有23个，瑞秋说，有的还在活跃，有的暂时休眠了，但他们都属于同一个组织。他们都认识彼此，我感到一阵寒意顺着脊椎往下蔓延。我们拿这些怎么办？瑞秋看着马克，他点了点头，交给地区检察官。他说：“交给警方，我们要起诉整个网络，不只是特洛伊，他们所有人。我们可以那样做。”凯尔西问：“有了这些证据，可以？”瑞秋说：“我追踪了他们的通信。”我记录了他们的聊天记录，他们连着几个月一直在谈论你，他们一直在共享你的地址、你的照片、你的日常作息，他们一直在协同行动。凯尔西往后一靠，他的脸白了。他们所有人都在监视我，他低语道：“所有人。”对，瑞秋说，但现在轮到我们来监视他们了。数据被移交给了地区检察官办公室。帕特里夏第2天就打电话来了。他说这些证据极具爆炸性。他说他们正对网络中的8名成员提起控诉，他们正在申请搜查令，搜查他们的住址和电子设备。他们在迅速行动。我们会把这个网络彻底拆除。帕特里夏说，一个接一个。他们再也伤害不了任何人了。我感觉肩上的重量轻了一些，只是轻了一点，但那是实实在在的。凯尔西的睡眠开始好转，他吃的更多了，他开始计划未来。他提到想回去教书，他提到想找一间新公寓，新的生活，新的开始。我想变得勇敢。有天晚上，他对我说：“我不想再害怕了。”你本来就很勇敢，我说，你一直都很勇敢，那为什么我还觉得自己如此破碎？我把他搂进怀里，因为疗愈不是局限的。有些日子你会觉得强大，有些日子你会觉得脆弱，但你还是继续走下去，这就是勇敢。
再点头，这可以帮我，今天的分页到来，再等等，今年的地上写更改，分一分了。往里走正当风，前力更前的灰色石头，正气的这个来这样了，然后头发正是正念正了，上。这些正等online，这等的来信可这个最少年，检方展示定制，被追随制，拿克的线，二是定词，照片，这些电路录音，这第3无可辩驳。作为纪律师是个法罗，这做一件虚伪的检验检测，这做测一的精神问题，这里需要治疗，而不是坐牢。点糖干嘛这样？这是你有3个小时，3个小时，就最多裁决出来，所有的共军电影成立，非法入侵，天中只有天然武器威胁，全部能力，法官判对4年，15年州狱监狱，不假释，不得释放15年。21不跟我说，这个有他，这个笑，这个哭，这个那里坚定的、诚恳的、坚定的诉求，拿回家，拿这个饮料，被这样来，围着的3周旁，能照比赛，能聊天，能上了，当你进来，第一次真正放松了，21站起来，在我的身边，他妈的问血，那他说，我想我准备好回家了。
我看着他，回你那儿，你确定吗？我不想再害怕了，我想回去，我想睡在自己的床上，我想回去教我的学生，我想重新开始过日子。 我走到他身边，我把手放在他肩上。那我们就回去，我说，一起。第二天，我们去了凯尔西的房子，那栋曾经像座监狱的房子，那栋他在床底下躲了5天的房子，那栋他听到抓挠声的房子，那栋他曾经孤身一人的房子。我站在外面，让他一个人进去。他需要一个人完成，他需要向自己证明他可以。他在里面待了10分钟，那10分钟却像几个小时。我盯着前门，我屏着呼吸，然后他出来了。他在笑，真真切切的笑，那种能抵达眼睛的笑。没事了，他说，他就只是一栋房子，只是墙壁、地板和一张床。他不再是监狱了，再也不是了。我拥抱了他，我没有松手，我们一起走了进去。我们拉开了窗帘，我们让光透了进来。我们开始打扫，我们擦洗了地板，我们洗了床单，我们给每个房间通了风，我们把它重新变回了他的家。太阳下山以后，他上床了，在他自己的床上，他自己的房间，他自己的房子。我睡在客房，我躺了一会儿没睡着，我听着那片寂静，没有抓挠声，没有脚步声，没有恐惧，只有安宁。第二天早上，凯尔西走进厨房，他穿好了上班的衣服，他背着包，手里端着咖啡杯。我准备好了，他说，我今天要回学校。我笑了，太好了，宝贝。我还是害怕的，他说。我想我永远都会有一点点害怕，但我不会让它阻止我。人生太短了。他走到门口，他停了一下，他转过身来，谢谢你，妈。他说，谢谢你做的一切，谢谢你这么勇敢。我说，他走出了门，我看着他上了车，我看着他开车远去，然后我让自己深呼吸，我想着我们经历的一切，恐惧、躲藏、法庭、审判、裁决。我想着牢房里的特洛伊，我想着那个正被拆除的网络，我想着所有那些再也不用经历凯尔西经历过的那一切的女性，因为我们反击了。但我也想到了那辆深色轿车，那个依然在外的男人，那些依然保持着联系的同伙，那个还没有完全消失的威胁。邪恶就是这样，它不会真正消失，它只是找到新的形式、新的面孔、新的藏身方式。但我们不再躲藏了。我走到客厅，我拿起弗兰克的相框，我把它握在手里。你女儿没事了，我说，她会好好的。弗兰克没有回答，它只是一张照片，一段记忆，但我能感受到它，我感觉到它就在这房间里和我一起。我想到了所有经历过这一切的母亲，所有被跟踪过的女性，所有被拆散的家庭。我想到了那些没有马克或瑞秋这样的人陪伴的人，那些独自一人的人。我坐了下来，我看向窗外，雪还在下，世界洁白、安静、平和。凯尔西活着，他自由了，他又回去教书了，他在疗愈。我真为他感到骄傲。我拿起手机，我打开社交媒体，我翻出了几周前吓坏了我们的那条帖子，那张凯尔西的照片，那条说他不安全的帖子。我把它删了，我拉黑了那个账号，我写了些别的东西，一些真实的东西。我写道：你以为你能击垮我们，你以为你能让我们害怕，但你错了。我们不害怕，我们没有被击垮，我们还在，我们还在站着。我点了发布，然后我放下了手机，我走到厨房，我煮了咖啡，我坐在桌边，我看着微闹气上的小鸟。新的一天开始了，我们会过得很好。The snow melted. The days grew longer. Spring came slow and gray, but it came. The trees outside my window started to bud. The birds came back to Frank's feeder. The world kept turning. And so did we. Kelsey went back to teaching full-time. She got a new apartment, a small one on the other side of town. New streets, new neighbors, new locks. She didn't want to go back to the old place. I didn't blame her that I helped her unpack. We hung pictures on the walls. We bought a new couch, a new bed, new everything. She wanted to start fresh. She wanted nothing from the old life to follow her. Mark helped too. He carried boxes. He assembled furniture. He stayed for dinner. He started staying for dinner a lot. I noticed the way he looked at her, the way she looked at him. I didn't say anything. I just let it happen. One evening, I was washing dishes at the kitchen sink. Kelsey came up behind me. She put her hand on my shoulder. "Mom," she said, "I need to tell you something." I turned off the water. I dried my hands. I turned to face her. "What is it?" She took a breath. "I'm going to start dating. Mark and we've been talking. We want to try." I looked at her. She looked nervous. She looked like she was waiting for me to say no. "Okay." I said, "Okay." She looked surprised. "You're not going to tell me it's too soon? You're not going to say I'm not ready?" I shook my head. "I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. You've been through enough. If Mark makes you happy, then go be happy." She hugged me. She held on tight. "He's a good man," I said. "He's been good to you. He's been good to us." "He really has," she said as she pulled back. She wiped her eyes. "I was so scared to tell you. I thought you'd think I was moving too fast." I smiled. I learned something through all this. Life is short. It's fragile. You don't waste time waiting for the right moment. You take the moment while it's there. She nodded. She kissed me on the cheek. She walked out of the kitchen. I turned back to the sink. I picked up the sponge. I went back to washing dishes. I thought about Frank. About all the years we had together. About the way he used to stand in this very kitchen and tell me jokes that weren't funny. About the way he used to hold my hand when we watched TV. About the way he used to say goodnight every single night. I missed him. I'd always miss him. But I also knew he would have wanted this. He would have wanted Kelsey to be happy. He would have wanted me to be happy too. A few weeks later, Mark asked me to lunch. Just the two of us. We went to a small diner near his office. The place was quiet. The booths were red vinyl. The coffee was strong. "I wanted to talk to you," he said. "About Kelsey." I nodded. "I figured. I care about her," he said. "A lot. I know it's been a short time. I know she's still healing. But I want you to know I'm serious about her. I'm not going to hurt her. I'm not going to let anyone else hurt her either." I looked at him across the table. He was nervous. He was trying to hide it, but I could see it in his hands. In the way he kept gripping his coffee cup. "I know you won't," I said. "I've seen how you treat her. You're a good man, Mark. I don't say that lightly." He exhaled. "Thank you. That means a lot." "You don't need my permission," I said. "You're both adults. You both know what you want. But I'll tell you this. If you ever do hurt her, I'll find you. And I'll make you regret it." He smiled. It was a real smile. I wouldn't expect anything less. We finished our lunch. We talked about normal things. The weather. The news. The new restaurant that just opened downtown. It felt normal. It felt like the world had finally settled. That summer, Kelsey and Mark started talking about the future. About moving in together. About getting a dog. About maybe one day getting married. I listened to them talk. I watched them laugh. I saw the light come back into Kelsey's eyes. But I never forgot. I never forgot what happened. I never forgot the scratching under the bed. The 5 days of silence. The dark sedan in the parking lot. I never forgot the network. I kept following the news. The trial of the other members was ongoing. Some of them pleaded guilty. Others went to trial. One by one, they were sentenced. One by one, they were locked up. The network was being dismantled. Piece by piece. But not all of it. One night, I got a call from Miller. He sounded tired. He always sounded tired. "I have some news," he said. "The dark sedan. The man who followed you from Kelsey's house. We found him." I sat down. My legs felt weak. Where? Across the state line. He was arrested on unrelated charges. But we tied him to the network. He's facing charges too. What kind of charges? Stalking. Conspiracy. He was involved in 2 other cases. In other states. He was a key player. I felt a strange mix of relief and anger. Relief that he was caught. Anger that he'd been out there at all. "Is he going to prison?" I asked. "For a long time," Miller said. "He'll be in federal custody. He's not getting out." I thanked him. I hung up. I sat in the dark for a long time. The next morning, I told Kelsey. She was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. "Good," she said. "I'm glad. He's not going to hurt anyone else." I said, "I know. But I'm not going to let myself feel safe just because one more of them is locked up. There will always be others. That's just the reality." I looked at her. She had grown so much. She was no longer the woman hiding under the bed. She was standing on her own 2 feet. Let's go for a walk. I said that we walked through the neighborhood. The sun was out. The birds were singing. Kids were playing in their yards. We passed a woman watering her flowers. She waved. We waved back. I want to do something, Kelsey said. What? I want to help other women. People who are going through what I went through. I want to talk to them. I want them to know they're not alone. That's a beautiful idea, I said. I'm going to start a support group. A small one. Just a few women at first. I've been talking to some people. They're interested. I squeezed her hand. You're going to help so many people. She looked at me. You helped me. You came for me. You didn't stop looking. I don't think I could have gotten through it without you. I felt tears prick my eyes. You would have gotten through it anyway. You're stronger than you know. No, she said. I'm strong because of you. We kept walking. The sun was warm on my face. I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace, that it wasn't the kind of peace that comes from forgetting. It wasn't the kind that comes from pretending the past didn't happen. It was the kind that comes from knowing you survived, knowing you fought, knowing you won. I looked at my daughter. She was walking beside me, her head held high. She was no longer the frightened woman who hid under a bed. She was a survivor, a fighter, a woman who had taken back her life. And I knew, in that moment, that everything would be okay. Not perfect, not easy, but okay. And that was enough. That's what I've learned through all of this. Evil doesn't disappear. It finds new faces, new ways to hide. But you can't let that stop you. You can't spend your whole life looking over your shoulder. You have to keep living. You have to keep fighting. You have to keep standing. I walked home with Kelsey. We made dinner together. We laughed. We talked about the future. And when the sun went down, I sat on the front porch. I looked up at the stars. I thought about all the mothers out there, all the daughters, all the women who were still fighting, still hiding, still waiting for someone to come for them. If you're one of them, I want you to hear this, that you are not alone. You are not forgotten. There is always someone who will come for you. And if there isn't, you come for yourself. You fight. You survive. You take back your life. One day at a time. That's what I did. That's what my daughter did. And we're still here. Still standing. Still fighting. So don't give up. Don't let them win. You are stronger than you know. And you are worth fighting for. If this story touched you, leave a comment below. Tell us your story. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to this channel for more stories of survival, resilience, and strength. We may not be able to erase the darkness, but we can shine a light. And that light is enough. ACT6 Chinese translation. Mu Shengla Bai Tin Bin Changla Shen Tian Lai Lan Elving Hanta Zhong Jiu Lala 我唱 Y 的速开始吹呀，那又味道放克的味道气，世界在附近的转动，等问你是可以付了钱的人教，他找了新个人，之后的一间小房子，新的街道，新的邻居，新闻所，他不现在以前那个地方，我不该他，我帮他拆线，我们在墙上搞哇，我们买了新沙发，新床，什么都换新的，他想要一个新的开始，他不想让就生活的任何东西继续跟着他，那可以来帮忙，他帮现在。他就张家志，他楼上来吃晚饭，他开始常常上来吃晚饭。我留意到他看见眼神，我什么也没说，我只是生气的一天傍晚，我正在厨房洗头边吃完，可以走到我身后，他把头放在我肩上，妈，他说我得跟你说件事。我关掉水龙头，我擦干手，我转身面对他，什么事？他深吸一口气，我要开始和马克约会了，我们谈过了。我们想试试。我看着他，他看起来很紧张，他像在等我拒绝。好啊，我说，好啊。他看起来很惊讶。你不觉得太快了吗？你不说我没准备好吗？我摇了摇头，我不会教你怎么过你的日子。你已经经历得够多了。如果马克能让你开心，那就去开心吧。他抱住了我，抱得很紧。他是个好人。我说，他对你一直很好，他对我们也很好。他确实是的。他说，他退后一步，他擦了擦眼睛。我本来很害怕告诉你，我以为你会觉得我走得太快了。我笑了。经历了这一切，我明白了一件事：人生苦短，人生脆弱，你不能把时间浪费在等一个所谓合适的时机上。你该抓住当下的时候，就得去抓住。他点了点头，他在我脸颊上亲了一下。他走出了厨房，我转回水槽，我拿起海绵，我继续洗碗。我想起了弗兰克， 想起了我们共度的那些年，想起他以前就站在这间厨房里，讲那些根本不好笑的笑话，想起他以前看电视时怎么牵我的手，想起他以前每天夜里都会说一声晚安。我想他，我会一直想他，但我也知道，他会希望看到这样的结果，他会希望凯尔西过得开心，他也会希望我过得开心。几个星期后，马克请我吃午饭，就我们2个人。我们去他办公室附近的一家小餐馆，地方很安静，卡座是红色的以西基皮面，咖啡很浓。我想跟您谈谈，他说，谈凯尔西。我点了点头，我猜到了。我很在乎他，他说，很在乎。我知道时间还短，我知道他还在恢复，但我想让您知道，我对他是认真的，我不会伤害他，我也不会让任何人伤害他。我隔着桌子看着他，他很紧张，他在试图掩饰，但我能从他的手上看出来，他不断地握紧他的咖啡杯。我知道你不会，我说，我看到你是怎么对他的，你是个好人，马克。我不会轻易说这句话的。他呼出一口气，谢谢您，这对我意义重大。你不需要我的许可，我说，你们都是成年人了，你们都知道自己想要什么。但我得告诉你一件事，如果你真伤害了他，我会找到你，我会让你后悔。他笑了，那是真心的笑，我不会指望比这更少的。我们吃完了午饭，我们聊了一些寻常的事，天气、新闻，市中心新开的那家餐馆，一切都感觉很正常，感觉世界终于恢复了平静。那年夏天，泰尔西和马克开始谈未来，谈同居的事，谈养一条狗，谈也许有一天会结婚。我听他们聊，看他们笑，我看到了凯尔西眼睛里的光又回来了。但我从未忘记，我从未忘记发生过什么，我从未忘记床底下的抓挠声，那5天的寂静，停车场里那辆深色轿车，我从未忘记那个网络。我一直在关注新闻，其他成年的审判还在进行中，有的认罪了，有的上了法庭，一个接一个，他们被判刑了，一个接一个，他们被关进去了。那个网络正在被拆除，一点一点的，但并非全部。一天晚上，我接到米勒的电话，他听起来很疲惫，他总是疲惫。我有消息告诉你，他说，那辆深色轿车，那个从凯尔西家跟着你的男人，我们找到他了。我的腿发软，在哪？跨过州界了。他因为其他指控被逮捕了，但我们把他和那个网络关联起来了。他也会面临指控。什么样的指控？跟踪、合谋。他涉及了另外2起案件，在其他州，他是个核心角色。我感觉到一种复杂的情绪，又是如释重负，又是愤怒。如释重负是因为他被抓了，愤怒的是他竟然一直逍遥在外。他会坐牢吗？我问。很长时间，米勒说，他会由联邦部门羁押，他出不来的。我谢了他，我挂了电话。我在黑暗里坐了很久。第2天早上，我告诉了凯尔西，他沉默了一会儿，然后他点了点头，很好。他说，我很高兴。他不能再伤害任何人了。我说，我知道，但我不会因为又多了一个人被抓起来，就让自己觉得安全了。总会有其他人的，现实就是这样。我看着他，他成长了太多。她不再是那个躲在床底下的女人了，她稳稳地站在自己的双脚上。我们去散散步吧，我说。我们穿过街区，太阳出来了，鸟在歌唱，孩子们在自家院子里玩耍。我们路过一个浇花的女人，她向我们挥手，我们也挥了回去。我想做点什么，凯尔西说。什么？我想帮助别的女性。那些正在经历我所经历过的人，我想和他们说话，我想让他们知道他们不是一个人。这是个很美的主意，我说，我要搞一个互助小组，小型的，刚开始就几个女性，我在跟一些人聊，他们感兴趣。我握住他的手，你会帮到很多人的。他看着我，你帮了我， 你来找我了，你没有停止找我。如果没有你，我不知道我能不能撑过去。我的眼睛有点发森，就算没有我，你也能撑过去的。你比你自己知道的更坚强。不，他说，我坚强是因为有你。如果还没有，那你就要为自己而站出来。你战斗，你活下去，你夺回你的生活，一天一天的来，那就是我所做的，那也是我儿所做的。我们还站着，还在战斗，所以不要放弃，不要让他们赢。你比自己想象的更坚强，你值得为此而战。如果这个故事触动了你，请在下方留言，告诉我们你的故事，把它分享给需要听到它的人。订阅这个频道，获取更多关于生存、人性和力量的故事。我们也是无法么吃饭，但我们可以速光，而那速光已经足够了。The leaves turned again. Another autumn. Another year. I stood on the front porch and watched the colors change. Red and orange and gold. The same colors Frank used to love. The same colors he used to point out from his chair in the backyard. I'd been alone for 4 years now. For years since I lost him. But I didn't feel alone. Not anymore. Kelsey had moved in with Mark. Just a few months ago. She'd packed her things and left her apartment. She'd said goodbye to the old life. She'd started a new one. They had a house now. A small one with a big yard. They'd gotten a dog. A golden retriever named Charlie. The dog was stupid and friendly and always happy. He reminded me of Frank that I went to visit them every Sunday. We had dinner together. Roast chicken or meatloaf or whatever Kelsey had learned to cook that week. She'd gotten good at it. She'd gotten good at a lot of things. The support group she'd started was thriving. She had 20 women now. 20 women who had been through similar horrors. 20 women who were finding their way back to themselves. She'd become something of a leader in that community. A voice. A symbol. I was proud of her. Proud didn't even begin to cover it. That one Sunday, I arrived at their house a little early. Mark was in the backyard playing with Charlie. Kelsey was in the kitchen. I could hear her humming. She had the radio on. Some pop song I didn't recognize. Mom, she said when I walked in. I didn't hear the door. You looked busy. I said, I'm always busy. I'm making pot roast. I hope you're hungry. I sat down at the kitchen table. I watched her move around the kitchen. She was comfortable, confident. The same girl who once hid under a bed was now running her own life. Running it well. Mark's taking me somewhere next weekend, she said. He won't tell me where. He says it's a surprise. That sounds exciting. She smiled. I like surprises now. I used to hate them. They made me anxious. Now I just let myself enjoy them. I nodded. You've come a long way. I had a lot of help, she said. You, Mark, Dr. Evans, the women in the group, everyone who believed in me. We had dinner. We laughed. Charlie ate from his bowl and looked at us with his big dumb eyes. The sun set outside the window. The room was warm. The food was good. The company was better. After dinner, I went for a walk around the neighborhood. It was a nice neighborhood. Trees and sidewalks and families. The kind of place where kids rode their bikes and people waved from their porches. The kind of place that felt safe. I was walking down the street when I saw something. A woman. She was standing in front of a house. She was holding a box. She looked lost. I stopped. Can I help you? She turned to me. Her face was young. Her eyes were tired. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. There was something familiar in her eyes. Something I recognized. I just moved in, she said. I'm trying to find my keys. I think I dropped them somewhere. I looked at the box in her hands. It was full of clothes, books, a framed photograph. The photograph was of a woman and a child. A little girl. That's a pretty picture, I said as she looked at it. It's my daughter. She's staying with my mother right now. Until I get settled. Where's your mother? Across town. She's been helping me. I've had a rough few months. I nodded. I knew rough months. I knew them well. Are you okay? I asked. She looked at me. Her eyes welled up. She shook her head. Not really, she said. But I'm trying. I took a step closer. I put my hand on her arm. My name is Diane, I said. I live a few blocks away. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. She blinked. Why would you do that? You don't even know me. No, I said. But I know what it's like to be scared. I know what it's like to feel alone. And I know that sometimes all it takes is one person who believes in you. She started to cry. Quiet tears. She held the box tighter. I left my husband, she said. He wasn't a good man. He did things. He said things. I couldn't take it anymore. I took her box from her hands. I set it down on the ground. I took her hands in mine. You were brave to leave, I said. That takes more strength than you know. How do you know, she asked. Because I'm a mother too, I said. And I've seen what happens to women who don't leave. She looked at me. There was something shifting in her eyes. Recognition. Understanding. Like she was seeing a version of herself in me. The version she wanted to become. Can I tell you something? She said. Anything. I've been scared to tell anyone, she said. I thought they'd judge me. I thought they'd blame me. Blame you for what? For staying so long, she said. For letting it go on for years. For not seeing it sooner. I shook my head. No one blames you for that. The only person to blame is the one who hurt you. You did the right thing by leaving. She wiped her eyes. My name is Carla. I'm glad to meet you, Carla. We stood there for a minute. The sun was setting. The sky was pink and orange and purple. It was beautiful. The kind of beautiful that makes you forget how hard the world can be. Do you want to come inside? She said. I don't have much furniture yet. But I have tea. I would love some tea, I said. We walked into her house. It was empty. A few boxes. A mattress on the floor. A lamp without a shade. But it was clean. It was a start. She made tea in a kettle she'd brought from her old house. We sat on the floor. We talked. She told me about her husband. About the first time he hit her. About the first time he locked her out of the house. About the years of silence. The years of walking on eggshells. I listened. I didn't interrupt. I just listened. I didn't tell anyone, she said. I thought I could handle it. I thought if I just tried harder, he'd change. They don't change, I said. They don't change unless they want to. And most of them don't want to. She looked at me. How do you know so much? I've been through something similar, I said. Not the same, but similar. My daughter was stalked. She was terrorized. She spent 5 days hiding under her bed because she was too scared to come out. Carla's eyes went wide. What happened? Did they catch him? Yes, I said. We caught him. We took him to court. We put him away. But it took a long time. It took a lot of fight. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I don't know if I have that fight in me. Yes, you do, I said. You had the fight to leave. That's the hardest fight. The rest is just follow through. We talked for another hour. I gave her my phone number. I told her about the support group. I told her she didn't have to go through any of this alone. She cried again. She hugged me. Thank you, she said. Thank you for stopping. Thank you for seeing me. I see you, I said. I see you clearly. I left her house that evening. The stars were out. The air was cold. I walked home with my hands in my pockets. I thought about Carla. I thought about all the women like her. The ones who were hiding in plain sight. The ones who were too scared to reach out. The ones who had been told they were crazy. They were asking for it. They were overreacting. I thought about Kelsey. About how far she'd come. About how much strength she'd found in herself. And I thought about Frank. I thought about what he would say if he could see me now. He would say, You did good, Diane. You did real good. I walked up to my front porch. I sat in the rocking chair. I looked up at the stars. I wasn't afraid anymore. I wasn't afraid of the dark. I wasn't afraid of the silence. I wasn't afraid of the unknown. I had been through the worst. I had come out the other side. And I had brought my daughter with me. That's what mothers do. We protect. We fight. We refuse to let the darkness win. I heard a car pull into the driveway. It was Kelsey's car. She got out. She walked up to me. What are you doing sitting out here in the dark? She said. Thinking. I said, about what? About you. About how proud I am. She sat down on the porch step. She looked up at the sky. I'm proud of you too, Mom. You never gave up on me. You came for me. You never stopped fighting. Of course I did, I said. You're my daughter. That's what we do. She looked at me. There were tears in her eyes. I love you, she said. I love you too. I said. We sat there for a while. Mother and daughter. Under the stars. I didn't tell her about Carla. Not yet. That was Carla's story to tell. But I knew I'd bring her to the support group. I knew she'd find her people. I knew she'd find her way. Because that's how we survive. We find each other. We hold each other. We refuse to let go. The night was quiet. The wind blew through the trees. The stars shone bright. And I was at peace. ACT 7, Chinese translation. 20个经历过类似惨痛遭遇的女性，20个正在找回自我的女性。她在那个社群里已经成了一个领头人，一个声音，一个象征。我以她为荣。 骄傲都不足以形容。有一个星期天，我早到了一点点。马克在后院跟查理玩，泰尔西在厨房里，我听到他在哼歌，他开着收音机，一首我不知道的流行歌。妈，我走进去时，他叫了一声，我没听到门响。看你很忙的样子，我说，我总很忙，我在做炖牛肉，希望你有胃口。我在餐桌旁坐了下来，我看着他在厨房里忙碌，他很自在，很自信。那个曾经躲在床底下的女孩，如今在稳稳地撑起自己的生活，而且过得很好。马克下周末要带我去一个地方，他说他不告诉我去哪，他说是惊喜，听起来很让人期待。他笑了，我现在喜欢惊喜了，我以前很讨厌惊喜，他们让我焦虑，现在我让自己去享受他们了。我点了点头。你走了很长一段路，我得到了很多帮助。他说，你，马克，埃文斯医生，小组里的女性，每一个相信我的人。我正沿街走着，看到了一样东西，一个女人，她站在一栋房子前，手里抱着一个纸箱，她看起来像是迷了路。我停下脚步，需要帮忙吗？她转向我，她脸很年轻，眼神却疲惫不堪，他看起来像好几天没睡过觉。他眼神里有种熟悉的东西，一种我能认出来的东西。我刚搬进来，他说我在找我钥匙，好像丢在什么地方了。我看了看他手里的纸箱，里面装着衣服、书，一个相框，照片上是一个女人和一个孩子，一个小女孩。这张照片真好看。我说。他低头看了一眼，那是我女儿，她暂时跟我妈住，等我安顿好了再接她来。你妈妈住在哪里？城那头，她一直在帮我。我这几个月过得很苦。我点了点头，我懂什么叫苦日子，我很懂。你还好吗？我问。他看着我，他眼眶红了，他摇了摇头，不太好。他说，但我在努力。我走近了一步，我把手放在他的胳膊上。我叫戴安，我说，我住在几个街区外，如果你需要找人说说话，我就在这里。他眨了眨眼，你为什么要这样做？你都不认识我。不认识，我说，但我知道害怕是什么感觉，我知道孤单是什么感觉，我也知道有时候你只需要一个相信你的人。他开始哭，安静的眼泪，他把纸箱抱得更紧了。我离开了我丈夫，他说，他不是一个好人，他做了那些事，他说了那些话，我再也受不了了。我把他放在地上，我握住他的手，你离开他，这很勇敢。我说，那需要比你想象的更多的力量。你怎么知道的？他问。因为我也是个母亲。我说，我见过那些没有离开的女人的下场。他看着我，他眼神里有什么东西在变，认同、理解，就像他在透过我，看到了一个未来版本的自己，那个他想成为的自己。我能跟你说件事吗？他说，什么都可以。我一直不敢告诉别人。他说，我以为他们会评判我，我以为他们会怪我。怪你什么？怪我待了那么久。他说，怪我让这一切持续了那么多年，怪我那么晚才看清。我摇了摇头，没有人会因为这件事怪你，唯一该被责怪的是那个伤害你的人。你离开是做对了。他擦了擦眼睛，我叫卡拉，很高兴认识你，卡拉。我们在那里站了一会儿，太阳正在落山，天空是粉色、橙色、紫色的，很美，那种让你暂时忘记这个世界有多难的美。你想进来坐坐吗？他说，我还没多少价值，但我有茶，我很乐意喝杯茶。我说，我们走进了他的房子，空荡荡的，几个纸箱，地上的一张床垫，一个没有灯罩的台灯，但很干净。这是一个开始。他用一个从旧家带来的水壶沏了茶， 我们坐在地上，我们聊了起来。她跟我讲了她丈夫的事，她第一次动手打他，她第一次把他锁在门外，那几年的沉默，那几年小心翼翼如履薄冰的日子。我听着，我没有打断，我只是听着，我没有告诉过任何人。她说，我以为自己能搞定，我以为只要我更努力一些，他会改变的。他们不会变的，我说，除非他们自己想变，而他们大多数都不愿意。他看着我，你怎么知道这么多？我经历过类似的事，我说，不一样的事，但类似。我女儿曾被跟踪，被恐吓，她躲在自己家床底下躲了5天，因为太害怕，不敢出来。卡拉的眼睛瞪大了。后来呢？他们抓住那个人了吗？抓住了。我说，我们抓住他了。我们把他送上了法庭，我们把他关了进去。但那花了很长的时间，花了很多的力气。他沉默了一会儿，然后他说，我不知道我有没有那力气。你有，我说，你有力气离开他，那是最难的一场仗，剩下的就是坚持下去。我们又聊了1个小时，我把电话号码留给了他，我告诉了他那个互助小组的事，我告诉他，他不必独自面对这一切。他又哭了，他拥抱了我，谢谢你。他说，谢谢你停下来，谢谢你看到我。我看见你了，我说，我看得清清楚楚。我想到了凯尔西，想到他已经走了多远，想到他在自己心里找到了多大的力量。我想到了弗兰克，我想到如果他能看到现在的我，他会说什么？他会说，你做得很好，戴安，你真的做得很好。我走上自家前门廊，我坐在摇椅上，我抬头看着星星。我不再害怕了，我不再害怕黑暗了，我不再害怕寂静了，我不再害怕未知了。我经历过最坏的，我挺过来了，我还带着我的女儿一起挺过来了。这就是母亲会做的事，我们保护，我们战斗，我们拒绝让黑暗得逞。我听到一辆车开进了车道，是凯尔西的车。他下了车，他向我走来。你一个人黑漆漆的坐在这儿干什么呢？他说，在想事情。我说，想什么呢？想你，想我有多为你骄傲。他坐在了门廊台阶上，他抬头看着天空。我也为你骄傲，妈。你从来没有放弃过我，你来找我了，你从来没有停止战斗。我当然不会，我说，你是我的女儿，这就是我们会做的事。他看着我，他的眼里含着泪。我爱你。他说，我也爱你。我说，我们在那里坐了一会儿，母亲和女儿在星空之下。我没有告诉他关于卡拉的事，还不是时候，那是卡拉自己的故事。但我知道我会带他去参加那个互助小组，我知道他会找到他的同伴，我知道他会找到自己的路。因为我们就是这样活下来的，我们找到彼此，我们相互扶持，我们拒绝放手。夜色宁静，风穿过树林，星星明亮的闪烁。我心安了， the leaves are falling again. I'm sitting on my front porch with a cup of coffee in my hands. The same porch where I used to sit with Frank. The same cup he used to drink from. The world keeps turning. Seasons keep changing. And somehow, I'm still here. Kelsey called this morning. She and Mark are getting married next spring. She asked me to walk her down the aisle. I cried. I don't cry much anymore, but I cried. She said she wouldn't want anyone else by her side. Carla is doing well. She joined the support group last winter. She's come so far. She got a job. She got her daughter back. She told me last week she's thinking about going back to school. I told her she can do anything she sets her mind to. I still think about the scratching under the bed sometimes. It comes back in the quiet moments. When I'm alone, when the house is empty, I hear it in my memory. I feel the fear like it was yesterday. But I also feel something else now. Something stronger. I feel the pride of standing up. The power of not backing down. The freedom of refusing to be afraid. That's what I want everyone to know. You can be broken. You can be scared. You can feel like you'll never make it through. But you can also find the strength. It's inside you. It's always been inside you. You just have to reach down and grab it. I look out at the street. The sun is low. The sky is orange. A woman walks by with her child. The child is laughing. It's a beautiful sound that I think about all the women who won't get this moment, who are still hiding, still running, still fighting. I think about them every day. If you're one of them, I want you to know. You matter. Your story matters. Your safety matters. You are not crazy. You are not alone. You are not asking for too much. There is someone out there who will believe you. There is someone who will come for you. And if you can't find them, come for yourself. You have what it takes. I set my coffee down. I stand up. I walk inside. Kelsey is coming over for dinner. I'm making her favorite meal, pot roast, just like she used to make for me. I look at Frank's picture on the wall. I smiled. You be proud. I say. And I know he would. Ending, Chinese translation. Yearzi, yo zai lola. Wazo zai chen long song. Soli donja yi bri cafe. Jusher naga will he fuin kur yichi zogodaman long. Jusher tai yong goda naga brazik. Sure jit, it's I buting to John. Gigi it's I buting to ban. Arwa hai zai jurli. Karshi jin tan zao shang dala diwalai. Taho ma kura da san mingnan shin tanji hun. Tarang would zai hunli shang wanja ta jo hung tan. Wakulug. Were you jin hun shao kulug. Danatsu wakulug. Tasoa ta shun ban bushang John ruin. Drishang Johnwa. Kala shin zai ting hao da. Ta shin dong tanjala huju shao du. Ta golao, hun chang yidan lu. Ta jala fun gong jo. Ta jigun. Ta shang zhou gaosu. Ta zai kao feature shang she. Wasoa jiao ta sha ding shin. Ta sheng shu doning zhuo cheng. Yo shri, hai hui sheng qi chang, di sha de da nao sheng.
他在等谁完这瞬间回来，当我丢的时候，当我嘴空空的时候，我的记忆赶紧听见他，让你感到这样恐惧，就跟昨天发生一样。在此刻，我也感到别的东西，第一种更强的东西，让他失去骄傲，这色里呢，这种恐惧支配自由。这就是我想让每个人知道的，你可以被击碎，你可以害怕，你可以觉得自己永远做不出来，但你同样能找到这份力量，它就在你心里，在你留在，你只需要伸手去抓住它，它向外面照，这样稳定，天空是绿色的，因为你们带着他孩子走过，孩子一笑，那是一个很美声音。我想到所有拥有这一刻的声音，那些孩子的藏，孩子逃跑，孩子这个人，每一天都在选择。如果你是他们中一言，我得跟你知道，你重要，你故事重要，你安全重要，你跟疯了，你是一个人，你也要求太多，这世上总会有人愿意相信你，总有人会来找你，因为找不到那个人，要对自己站出来，也具备这个力量。我放弃咖啡里，我站起来，我在歌里，科尔西今晚就在吃晚饭，他在吃菜，有肉，就像自己前常给我做的一样。我看墙上的福安克照片，我笑了，我骄傲了，我说我知道他会。